Those basking in paradise never spare a single thought for the damned rotting in hell. A famous saying by Josie the dwarf. Trapped in endless darkness, a desperate boy chanted a singular obsession. He simply had to survive this. Tearing at his own flesh, he muttered like a madman, because those drowning in hell obsess over heaven constantly. A floating blue screen demanded he reach the end of this bizarre world. Staring in utter bewilderment, his mind completely shut down, plunging him deep into the cold abyss of total physical collapse. That same nostalgic dream played again, resting peacefully in the back seat of a car. Suddenly, a blinding flash violently swallowed his reality. Next thing he knew, he was rotting away inside a damp, suffocating cave for years. His sole companion in this miserable dungeon, a dusty divine martial arts manual. Then the system cruelly dangled a carrot. Clear this twisted tutorial reached the very end, and he could finally embrace his beloved family once again. Years later, a miraculous notification chimed. The tutorial was successfully cleared. Our main character instantly snapped his eyes open. Tears of absolute joy streamed down his face. But stepping through the gateway, the harsh truth hit him. This wasn't Earth. This nightmare was just hitting the prologue. Soul-crushing despair washed over him, completely clueless as to why the universe hated him. 10 agonizing years of wandering this garbage dimension to find home. Suddenly, a raspy voice shattered the dead silence. A desperate scavenger slowly approached, claiming the noise drew him in. He muttered pathetic apologies, violently sobbing that his starving family desperately needed to eat. Yeah, he wanted to butcher our guy for dinner. Pure terror sparked in the kid's eyes as a rusty blade clattered down. Surviving by a hair, he stood over the corpse, hyperventilating. Suffocating waves of trauma and sickening guilt threatened to break his mind. Ding! A cheerful blue screen suddenly popped up. Martial arts proficiency increased. The sheer irony of leveling up from this traumatic slaughter was hilariously absurd. His remaining sanity simply snapped. A dark giggle bubbled up, echoing into completely unhinged, psychotic laughter. Staring at the glowing text, a twisted epiphany finally struck him. That useless old manual was the actual cheat code. It was an endless, grinding simulator. To escape this trash world, he simply needed to hit the maximum level. Fast forward to today. A terrified minion rushed his demonic boss while our crazy hero casually interrogated the pulverized grandmaster about his generation rank. Gargling on his own blood, the defeated fool spat out his shiny title. 8th generation Sword Emperor. Hilariously enough, our absolute menace had already stomped the 6th and 7th generations completely. He chuckled, finding their endless suicidal revenges incredibly amusing. With one lazy flick of his blade, the hero sent the defeated boss straight to the afterlife. A loyal lackey screamed about vengeance, charging blindly forward. The hero just sighed loudly, mocking the idiot for acting heroic while serving a demonic cult. In an absolute instant, the boy's terrified face was mercilessly crushed. He praised the scrub's foolish courage. Paralyzed by absolute terror, the punk froze completely as a suffocating demonic aura erupted outward. His monstrous spiritual pressure crushed the area. Smiling darkly, he tossed the kid aside, ordering him to go grind some levels first. He desperately craved a decent challenge. Boom, congratulations, the crazy guy just forcibly became the new sect leader. Sadly, that supposed grandmaster was disappointingly weak. Our overpowered protagonist was slowly dying of sheer boredom once again. To cure his eternal depression, he genuinely debated breeding his own private army of elite punching bags. Staring blankly at the indifferent clouds, he exhaled slowly. 140 miserable years trapped in this fantasy garbage bin. Once returning home was his burning obsession. Now he couldn't even recall the blurred shapes of his own family's faces. Heaven was just a pathetic fairy tale in this blood-soaked reality. Enduring this agonizing hellscape for ages, the hero had officially reached his absolute breaking point. Ping A system screen chimed out of nowhere. Against all odds, he finally smashed the absolute maximum level. Divine Ascension restrictions fully unlocked. The screen cheerfully announced his grand return to Earth. After centuries of suffering, the ticket home dropped. A hollow laugh escaped his lips. The system waited until he gave up completely to show some pathetic pity. Those invisible gods were definitely just trolling him. Regardless, heavenly aura surged as he transcended into an actual living deity. But wait, reaching godhood made zero sense when his mortal desires were still raging inside. He quietly pondered if his humanity was entirely broken beyond repair. Generations had passed back home. His bloodline was likely dust, violently crushing any lingering homesickness he had left. A singular venomous thought kept his heart beating. Pure, unadulterated vengeance. The glowing text finally prompted his grand dimensional transfer. He wanted the absolute destruction of whoever orchestrated this twisted game. Boiling bloodlust violently obliterated the entire surrounding forest in seconds. Whether they were a god or a demon, he was going to rip their skull from their spine. That was a promise. A blinding golden pillar swallowed the ruins. After 140 torturous years, he was returning home. Year 2011, Earth before the Cha Shinhyun incident. Meanwhile, a crazed fanatic gleefully preached about an impending apocalyptic nightmare approaching. Right on cue, a massive dimensional gate ripped open inside the dark woods. She screamed that mankind required an evolutionary purge. Lurking inside that rift, thousands of bloodthirsty crimson eyes waited to feast. Never squander your heavenly blessings, the woman preached. Meanwhile, another muttered that Cha Shin-hyun's legendary arrival was long overdue. South Korea, 2025. Inside the perilous Red Wolf dungeon, a monstrous beast relentlessly hunted a terrified young hunter. Archery art-piercing shot. A dazzling shower of magical arrows cascaded down, pulling the rookie away from death's grip. His savior was none other than Commander Cha Eun-seol. Relieved to intervene just in time, she swiftly ordered a tactical retreat. But tragedy struck when a savage beast ambushed his blind spot. Even Eun-seol could not block the fatal blow. Worse yet, he was not the only casualty. Her entire squad was being brutally devoured by the demonic pack. Facing an endless tide of bloodthirsty monsters, Eun-seol realized she was staring directly at total annihilation. Her mana reserves were completely running dry. At this rate, the entire dungeon party would become monster food. Through the bloody chaos, she spotted a squad member fleeing like a coward. She tried screaming his name, but the ravenous beasts kept her pinned down. The battlefield was completely collapsing around her. Meanwhile, the traitorous Seo sprinted frantically through the darkened woods. He cursed his decision to join this doomed raid, desperate to save his own skin. Suddenly, a mysterious portal flared to life, blocking his cowardly escape path. Bam! A deadly arrow embedded itself into the earth inches from his boots. Seo froze, shocked that someone actually hunted him down. Eun-seol refused to let this backstabber slip away. Sweating nervously, Seo faked a sickening smile, claiming he was thrilled his beloved commander survived. In a flash, she hoisted him up by his collar. She roared about the lethal warnings she gave. Her entire squad lay slaughtered, yet this rat only celebrated his own survival. Eun-seol sneered, finally witnessing the pathetic, selfish core hiding beneath his fake bravado. Disgusted, she released the trash and ordered him to vanish. She scoffed, doubting his wealthy daddy could bury such a monumental guild disaster this time. Instantly, venomous malice ignited within the eyes of the boy as he called her name. Before Eun-seol could even blink, the coward launched a deadly sneak attack. Crimson aura violently coated his fist, slamming brutally into her chest. The devastating impact sent her flying like a broken doll. Her body violently crashed against an ancient trunk. Seo yanked her up by the hair, scoffing at her pathetic weakness. To him, her noble pride was absolutely sickening. If she craved the spotlight, he would gladly make her infamous. He mockingly revealed his master plan, framing her reckless leadership for the total annihilation of their guild. Blazing mana reignited around his fists. With a twisted grin, he moved to shatter her core completely. Suddenly, apocalyptic thunderclouds swallowed the heavens. A catastrophic lightning bolt eradicated the ground behind him. As the thick smoke parted, an imposing shadow stepped forward. The Supreme Emperor Cha Shin-hyun had manifested. His legendary return to Earth was complete. He chuckled darkly. So the ultimate reward for conquering the tutorial was just returning home. His eyes blazed with fury, silently vowing a ruthless, blood-soaked vengeance upon his enemies. An annoying scoff broke his focus. The arrogant Seo mocked the newcomer, completely blind to the monstrous predator standing right in front of him. Demanding to know his guild and background, the trash babbled on. Shin-hyun simply ignored the ant casually walking past him with absolute disdain. Seo trembled with humiliation at being treated like thin air. Seeing the man examine the bloodied woman while completely dismissing his existence pushed his fury to the absolute boiling point. Worse still, this mysterious stranger had witnessed his brutal betrayal against the commander. Leaving loose ends was no longer an option. Identity didn't matter. This witness had to die immediately. Meanwhile, Shin-hyun locked his gaze onto a familiar battered pendant resting against the blood-stained chest of the fallen girl. While the emperor stared in shock, the traitor violently threatened him to keep his mouth shut. Without waiting, the coward launched a lethal strike. Boom! An invisible wall of terrifying spiritual pressure instantly repelled his pathetic assault. The sheer suffocating weight of his aura was utterly godlike. Cold sweat drenched Seo as true despair set in. Shin-hyun coldly stated he already grasped this pathetic, bloody betrayal. Furthermore, he casually recalled the arrogant demand for his glorious name. I am the Supreme Sword Emperor Cha Shin-hyun. Flash. Before the rat could even process the legendary title, the apex predator was already looming directly over his trembling shadow. Though dead men have no use for names, he whispered. Whoosh! A blinding beam of celestial sword energy erupted instantly, erasing the trash from existence. The cataclysmic blast carved a trench through the ancient woods, detonating violently. Only floating ashes remained of the foolish traitor who dared cross him. Dismissing the dust, he turned his full attention to the dying warrior. Looking at her battered face, the heart of the protective older brother completely shattered. Flashback to her childhood, her parents gently scolded her tearful tantrum. "You are a big girl now, no more crying," her mother used to soothe warmly. Her doting brother chuckled, defending her fierce obsession with the amusement park. Staying late only burdened their exhausted mother. Yet the tragic truth behind her stubborn tears was simple. Her beloved older brother was missing out on the family trip. He had to stay behind and study. Gently ruffling her hair, Sihyun swore a sacred vow. Even after entering university, he promised to always make time for his precious sister. Whenever he returned, the magical amusement park would be their very first stop. That gentle promise instantly dried her tears. Riding home, she demanded piggybacks, which he gladly gave, cherishing these fleeting moments before she grew up too fast. Surrounded by twisted metal and tragedy, a young Unseol drowned in suffocating survivor's guilt. Her mind spiraled into darkness. If she hadn't thrown that foolish tantrum, this disaster would have vanished. Her selfishness had single-handedly sent their loving parents to an early grave. Weeping alone, little Unseol searched everywhere for her brother, but he had completely disappeared. Healing light envelops her shattered arm. Her eyes snap open in panic. Our main character gently reassures her, promising a full recovery with just a little time. Unsol squints at this mysterious savior. He chuckles softly, completely expecting his own sister to forget his face. He jokes about no longer carrying her since she grew up so much. Her mind short-circuits. Could it actually be him? A sudden memory hits her like lightning. Her older brother's parting words echo, "Stay strong even when miles apart." Blazing anger quickly melts into a messy puddle of tears. She screams, demanding where the heck he vanished to all these years. Sihyun pulls her into a warm, comforting embrace. But reality crashes back. She forcefully pushes away, frantically scanning for the attacker. With a casual point, her brother reveals the absolutely crushed remains of the guy who tormented her. Unsol freezes in shock. She stammers, asking who caused this carnage. He simply shrugs and claims the kill. Pure panic sets in. She grabs his sleeve, screaming that they need to flee right now. Back home, Sihyun marvels that his dusty room survived completely untouched for literal decades. Meanwhile, his sister frantically warns that director Seo Kangjin will hunt them down. Not only is this terrifying man the dead scumbag's father, he also rules the mighty Aurora Guild. A ruthless ex-gangster and famously ranked among South Korea's top 11 elite hunters, he is pure bad news. Unsol missed the crucial window to report that disastrous dungeon mission to the higher-ups, meaning Kangjin definitely knows his precious son is dead through underworld channels. As the sole mission survivor, she just became public enemy number 1. Sihyun casually tilts his head, completely unfazed by the threat. If that guild boss is the big problem, he will just wipe him off the map too. She fiercely scolds his absolute delusion. That monster is over level 50. You do not become a guild executive by sheer luck. Plus, her brain is already frying. Her brother vanished 14 years ago, only to return spewing ridiculous fantasy logic. Surviving alone after tragically losing their parents and then losing him was an absolute living nightmare. Tears well up again. Seriously, where in the world has he been hiding? Sihyun finally receives the devastating confirmation of their parents' passing. Shaking it off, he notes her confusion over his archaic speech. With absolute seriousness, he drops the ultimate bombshell. He survived in Murim. But hold on, he needs a modern dictionary first. What exactly are hunters and powerful guilds? And does this strange reality actually use game levels? Unsol helplessly rubs her temples, completely overwhelmed by his cluelessness. That heavy lore dump will definitely have to wait for another day. Duty calls right now. The brave archer marches toward the Aurora Guild, ordering her clueless brother to stay put. Stepping into his ancient bedroom, Sihyun feels a wave of nostalgia. He proudly smiles, realizing his little sister grew surprisingly tough. It is time for redemption. He must become the legendary older brother she desperately needed. Step 1. Hunt down this Seo Kangjin punk. Suddenly, a massive crash shakes the front door. 3 shady figures emerge from the dust. Glowing magic fades from the breached lock. The menacing trio blocks the exit, radiating pure hostility and ready to brawl. The leader aggressively barks out, demanding Unsol's location. Sihyun raises an eyebrow. Looks like the infamous Kangjin delivered himself right to his doorstep. Meanwhile, Unsol marches straight into the lion's den. She dreads being instantly slapped in cuffs the second she enters the Aurora Guild. Desperation claws at her mind. Is there literally anyone who can help? Suddenly, Vice Guild leader Lee Jihye steps forward, showing unexpected concern. Jihye thought Unsol was still exploring the dungeon with the boss's son. She intensely questions if a disaster occurred. Unsol internally panics. Facing Jihye was not on her bingo card. This woman is a top-tier powerhouse in South Korea, known for her absolute fairness, but sporting an unreadable poker face. Could this mysterious executive be her ultimate lifeline? Back at the invaded apartment, Sihyun sighs at the absolute disrespect. He casually lectures the armed thugs about basic door-knocking etiquette. A grunt lunges forward in blind rage, but his cold-blooded boss orders him to stop. Kangjin completely ignores our guy, fiercely demanding Unsol's whereabouts. He only thirsts for the blood of his son's killer. With a lazy smirk, our hero claims the kill. Blinding rage shatters the guildmaster's composure. Sihyun loves this predictable energy. Kangjin explodes forward to test this arrogant punk aura erupts as they violently clash in the cramped living room. Meanwhile, Jihei's curiosity about this mysterious returning brother skyrockets. Back to the fight, Kangjin unleashes a deadly swing, but our hero smoothly evades. Sihyun's sharp eyes analyze the raw magical energy coating the blade. So this is the mighty hunter power his sister hyped up. It perfectly mirrors the pathetic skills that dead brat used earlier. Time for some brutal combat experiments. The furious boss pivots for a second strike. He unleashes an absolute hurricane of devastating blows. Yet our guy stands as still as a mountain. Right at impact, a terrifying invisible barrier effortlessly deflects the ultimate strike. The combat data is instantly calculated. Sihyun evaluates this modern hunter to be around the Murim Supreme Master realm. Not bad for this era. Our main character caught the devastating strike barehanded. Yawning, he casually asked if they brought 1,000 more goons exactly like him. Seizing the moment, the loyal lackeys rushed to assist their boss. Boom, a laser hit their barrier. Sihyun frowned heavily, annoyed by this rude interruption. A blazing aura ignited. The mage hurled a massive fireball. Thinking they totally cornered him, the armed swordsman smugly unsheathed his blade for the finishing blow. But Sihyun casually snatched the razor-sharp steel barehanded. Finally, things were getting hilariously entertaining. The swordsman stared into a terrifying abyss of pure monster energy. Bam! Sihyun swatted him away using sheer aura. His brain short-circuited trying to process this absurd strength. Just what kind of absolute freak was this guy? His sister claimed he vanished for exactly 14 years. Yet he effortlessly treated incredibly talented martial masters like absolute toddlers in a playground fight. Earth actually reached Murim standards in just 14 years, even miraculously producing multiple supreme masters. Pretty impressive. Still, they were absolutely nothing compared to the 10 legendary martial gods. Sihyun smirked, remembering his epic clashes with those titans. He casually noted the Jianghu rankings conveniently ignored his name, so he simply reset the board and crushed them all. In the end, he stood alone at the peak. Meanwhile, our hero's sister was speeding down the highway. Her brain melted from the overwhelming drama, dropping at once. Out of nowhere, the vice leader demanded to meet her brother. Was this a total jackpot or absolute disaster? She recalled Lee's desperate promise. Hook up a meeting, and the top brass would magically erase this entire catastrophic scandal completely. Now that was a god-tier bribe she couldn't ignore. Meanwhile, Lee sweated bullets, terrified of making an enemy out of Sihyun. Later, she double-checked Unseol about her brother's mysterious vanishing act. Exactly 14 years ago, she confirmed with a firm nod. Lee crunched the time dilation numbers, totaling a mind-blowing 140 years. She choked, imagining his true monstrous power scale. She desperately asked about his personality. Hilariously, Unseol described this absolute god of war as a polite, sweet, and perfectly studious little nerd. The kid even bagged a full-ride scholarship to an insanely prestigious modern university. Plus, he possessed terrifying stubbornness. If he started a project, he ruthlessly grinded it out until the absolute bitter end, refusing to quit. Back at the brawl, Sihyun pointed at his previous attacker. Finding his little magic trick cute, he arrogantly demanded a fun encore. Bam! He casually backhanded a sneaky assassin into the wall. Seeing this absurd physical flex, the chanting mage nearly died of pure terror. The spell fired, but Shinhyun's shield blocked it effortlessly. Grinning, our hero decided to show off some nasty tricks. Boom! He summoned colossal ice beasts, instantly freezing the poor mage solid. The shield guy frantically bolted, only to aggressively faceplant into a glowing magical barrier. Zap! He didn't even notice a rogue lightning bolt striking his forehead. Their furious leader cursed the tank for stupidly leaving the staircase completely exposed. Now, only he remained standing. Shinhyun chuckled, knowing trash-tier thugs rarely died for loyalty. Boss Seo assumed our hero was a squishy mage, confident no pathetic spell could block physical strikes. Seo suddenly realized something terrifying. Despite their explosive battle, the apartment remained flawlessly intact. Was this place covered in a high-tier barrier? Trembling Seo asked if the monster had predicted their secret ambush beforehand. Shinhyun casually explained he deployed his mind sword domain to protect the room. Honestly, he just really hated replacing broken furniture. Explaining supreme martial arts to thugs was pointless. Once those fools crossed his welcome mat, they were hopelessly trapped inside his absolute territory. Roaring furiously, Seo swore he wouldn't die alone. His desperate suicidal berserk skill fully activated. A chaotic energy explosion erupted. Shinhyun smiled, genuinely amused that this thug forcefully spiked his aura for a pathetic suicide attack. Completely mindless, Seo charged like a rabid beast, unleashing a frantic hurricane of desperate punches. His sanity was completely wiped out now. A blade rocketed straight toward our protagonist's face. Sighing, Shinhyun decided to violently beat some manners into Seo. Slash, with one beautifully terrifying motion, he cleanly split the furious berserker perfectly in half. Smirking, he told the corpse to feel truly honored. He had just tasted the legendary Supreme Sword Emperor's personal blade. Lee and Unseol finally busted into the apartment, only to awkwardly catch our almighty protagonist meticulously mopping blood like a housemaid. He casually blamed the bloody mess on a light morning warm-up. Unseol scolded him for instantly causing chaos, but her brother simply laughed, telling her to visit Murim to aggressively grind her miserable stats. Our protagonist then noticed the stunned vice leader. He sensed her energy resonating with celestial martial arts. Lee was amazed he could even use sound transmission. She genuinely thought she was special until she visited the other dimension. The next day, Unseol was peacefully fast asleep. Suddenly she jolted awake. Sprinting in sheer terror, Unseol frantically cried out for her brother. Then his voice echoed. Sihyun chuckled warmly, teasingly asking if she actually thought he had magically vanished once again. Thank the heavens it wasn't a dream. She asks why he's awake before dawn, but he just holds up a finger, his eyes glued to a startling notification. A whole week since our overpowered hero returned. Yet reality still feels completely surreal. Vice leader Lee Ji-hae promised they'd reunite, right after a mysterious cleanup crew scrubbed their apartment spotless. That very day, breaking news dropped. Seo Jong-eun met a devastating end, and his father instantly announced retirement. Lee Ji-hae totally kept her word. Eun-yul was the sole survivor of that bloodbath, so the guild is watching her closely. Now summoning her brother, what's this vice leader plotting? Eun-yul can only pray for her brother's safety. Meanwhile, Ji-hae waits alone at a cozy cafe. Shin-hyun smirks at her totally relaxed vibe. Of course she's calm with an entourage of beefy bodyguards. She praises his speed, then casually drops a correction. They aren't bodyguards, just one single guard. One sip of the tea and Shin-hyun's eyes widen at the familiar flavor. Ji-hae admits she used to visit Homin City just for this brew. Back in the brutal world of Murim, that is. Our hero chuckles, appreciating her no-nonsense approach. She drops a bombshell. 3 people crossed into that chaotic alternate dimension. Besides them, there's Park Tae-hoon, leader of the Twilight Guild, their most bitter, bloodthirsty rival. Ji-hae squeezed intel from their boss. In 2011, he woke up in a dark cave next to a legendary manual celestial cultivation martial arts. Stepping out of that cave, he was suddenly thrust into the ruthless Murim world. Total déjà vu. Our overpowered main character had the exact same experience down to the identical system prompt. To ever see Earth again, the poor guy had to conquer that hellish dimension. Shin-hyun returned just as the Hunter era exploded. Coincidence? Unlikely. She leans in asking what he knows about the deadly dungeons. 14 years ago, a mysterious goddess descended, bringing raids, monstrous beasts, and RPG-style class systems with her. Our main character demands to know how they got back. Ji-hae's answer is chilling. They literally died. Instantly, the air turns heavy. Shin-hyun recalls his own grim task, witnessing that world's bitter end. His aura flares with intense agitation. Does that so-called goddess know who banished him to the Murim realm? Hitting max level brought him home, so clearing this hunter game must offer a seriously epic, mind-blowing reward. That's his ticket to the truth. Ji-hae starts sweating under his intense pressure. Our hero glares, demanding her true motives. Trying to defuse the bomb, she suggests a walk. Her guild was facing an all-out war with Park, but suddenly they lost their top dog. And since our crazy overpowered MC caused it, she cheekily asks him to clean up the mess. This bold vice leader actually wants Shin-hyun as her guild's brand new executive. She dangles massive wealth and absolute glory. Since she's his sister's boss, he'll politely listen before brutally rejecting her face. Why the harsh rejection? He's a legendary solo player. Plus, there's one tiny, massive detail. Shin-hyun refuses to bow to weaklings. Amused by his sheer arrogance, Ji-hae smirks. Time for a lethal test of raw power. Our main character flexes his 140 years of Murim survival, but the vice leader just laughs. Age doesn't equal unstoppable skill. Shin-hyun completely agrees. Even 3 centuries in hell wouldn't make someone a match for his monstrous strength. Ji-hae challenges his bluff. A terrifying surge of pure magical energy erupts from her and floods the battlefield. The aura violently twists into a massive, glowing magical eye. She unleashes her signature move, Dance of Shadows. Shin-hyun's senses are instantly scrambled as pitch-black darkness swallows the world. Activating such a massive domain drains oceans of mana. This is Ji-hae's legendary unique skill, an entirely sealed pocket dimension. To the outside world, total silence. They completely vanished into thin air. Murim knew her as the deadly Scarlet Cherry Blossom Zero. Failed assassinations. Shin-hyun already sensed her terrifying thirst for blood. Now only 2 paths remain, a brutal, heart-stopping clash for survival. Despite her killing intent, our hero knows this isn't just a cage. Suddenly, cold steel presses right against his throat. She whispers a deadly confirmation. Shin-hyun casually ducks the lethal slash. She twists the blade, but he perfectly blocks every strike barehanded. Even moving at godlike speeds, her attacks bounce off his iron defense. Frustrated, she unleashes a relentless tempest of blades. Forced into action, our main character gracefully leaps backward. Gaining distance, he smirks at her extremely familiar footwork. It's the exact deadly martial art of Murim's legendary Dark King. Her jaw completely drops. How did this monster recognize her ultimate technique instantly? Sihyun casually recalls facing that style before. Too bad the guy was a total rookie, getting accidentally one-shotted in a single second. Our hero drops a spicy wager. Force his hand in 3 strikes and he officially joins her guild. Since that sneak attack was strike 1, Jihye accepts. Sihyun just smirks, thoroughly amused that her presence completely vanished from his radar. Total stealth mode activated. Suddenly, 3 lethal bursts of shadow aura rocket straight toward his face. Impressive parlor trick. Our main character playfully dodges, but this homing magic relentlessly chases him down like a heat-seeking missile. Time for his counter. Sihyun effortlessly swats the deadly strike away using pure aura. Not a single scratch on him. He gives a respectful nod to her magnificent firepower just as her furious second barrage instantly launches. Strike 2 completely nullified. Jihye flips backward, finally confessing that she knows all about our hero's monstrous reputation. She knows he reigns supreme among absolute masters. Violent energy stakes suddenly erupt from the very earth beneath his feet. Jihye makes her bold declaration. Slaying this absolute monster makes her the undeniable strongest in the entire world. Our hero genuinely loves the spicy confidence. Her terrifying aura spike leaves him momentarily speechless as she charges her ultimate skill. The legendary Shadow Dagger secret art Jihye burns every ounce of mana, summoning an inescapable void of darkness from all directions. To counter, he unleashes the mighty Mind Sword. A cataclysmic explosion rocks the area as brilliant light violently clashes against devouring shadow. The devastating backlash slams into Jihye. A colossal boulder hurtles toward her frozen body, hopelessly locked in place by absolute exhaustion. With lightning speed, our overpowered hero effortlessly swoops in to rescue her. Strike 3 concluded. Total checkmate. Sihyun casually asks for round 2. Trembling helplessly, she completely surrenders. The chaotic skies instantly clear up. She officially throws in the towel but desperately demands one single truth in exchange. Jihye desperately begs for his secret. For a terrifying second, she felt completely crushed by an absolutely insurmountable godlike existence. Sihyun praises her fierce confidence. By dominating that shadow domain, she absolutely eclipses any ordinary mortal's power level. That specific wording absolutely stuns her. She breathlessly asks about his true tier, but our hero just casually drops a polite GG. Impressed, he agrees to join the Dawn Guild. However, they must supply him with endless premium crafting materials and top-secret intel. Naturally, he demands strict freelance status. No official guild paperwork for him. They are strictly equal partners since our overpowered main character refuses to take orders. Jihye eagerly accepts, throwing in one absolute condition. He must completely boycott the rival Twilight Guild forever. Smiling, he formally swears upon his legendary, slightly edgy title, Supreme Sword Emperor. Jihye totally cringes at that insanely flashy title. Also, Sihyun strictly orders her to permanently stop stalking him. Consider this, his final warning. The frantic vice leader quickly swears to never sabotage their fragile business alliance. In peak comedic fashion, he aggressively rips his own shirt as an apology. Sihyun shamelessly admits he purposely trolled her just to witness high-rank hunter skills. For a hilariously brief second, our invincible hero actually looks genuinely embarrassed. Surprisingly, she brushes it off, thrilled he fought without holding back. Deeply curious, our protagonist questions why she specifically grinded such an edgy assassination class. Jihye's gaze darkens, revealing she once harbored a terrifying, desperate obsession to completely erase someone from existence. Conversation instantly firmly closed. This dark confession triggers our hero's memories of those mysterious system prompts, dictating his dimensional return trip. Sihyun perfectly understands her burning thirst for absolute vengeance. Elsewhere, a sleek getaway car idles quietly near a dusty dirt road. Her anxious bodyguard sweats bullets until she finally slumps into the back seat, frantically asking if she miraculously survived the terrifying encounter intact. Recognizing the devastating Shadow Dance aftermath, he gasps. Jihye bitterly confesses her ultimate move could not inflict a single solitary scratch. Just as feared, his power level absolutely shatters the world's balancing system. Now severely mana-drained, she realizes her strikes never even connected. His divine defense completely baffled her. Admitting total defeat, the nervous guard asks about inviting this absolute monster to the upcoming festival. The exhausted vice leader firmly declares he is their absolute trump card against the menacing Park faction. She remembers a stark warning to blindly follow him, for he is the absolute martial god. Without Sihyun, their guild faces guaranteed annihilation. Our invincible protagonist finally returns to his peaceful home. Before a single word escapes, his frantic sister launches a devastating tackle hug. Our utterly confused hero practically suffocates as she hilariously attempts to crush his spine with pure sibling affection. She strictly places him under absolute house arrest, terrified her beloved brother might recklessly vanish into another deadly dimension. Sihyun completely understands her crippling anxiety but casually drops a massive bombshell: he wants to officially become a hunter. Naturally, his overprotective sister absolutely loses her mind. To calm her down, our hero reveals the glowing mystical cube gifted by the shadowy vice leader Ji-hye. This magical artifact supposedly unlocks his official status window. Sihyun tightly grips the cube, instantly triggering a brilliant majestic glow. Shockingly, the fragile artifact pathetically crumbles into mere dust. Our hero simply stares in hilarious disappointment at this completely anticlimactic failure. Sihyun grumbled, convinced Lee was a total scammer, but his sister nagged him to check his status window. Bam, 2 screens popped up. One showed his absolute max level while the other mocked his classless state. That glowing orange window, his secret Murim power. Meanwhile, the pathetic blue screen displayed his official Earth Hunter status. Leaning in to peek at his newly awakened class, his sister's jaw absolutely dropped in shock. She literally threw her hands up, cheering that he wasn't fated for the dangerous hunter life. Time to celebrate. Earth system offered 6 basic paths: warriors, shield bearers, mages, clerics, archers, and the sneaky rogues. Everyone starts basic before evolving. Take Cha Eun-sul, for example. She started as an archer and leveled up into a deadly sharpshooter. But our main character, Zero Class, to her this proved he was just a totally average, helpless civilian. Sure, normies could still hunt, but without proper system skills, they were monster chow. She desperately wanted him to quit. Hunters desperately needed experience points to level up and unlock monster-slaying abilities. Classless losers had to learn everything manually. Even the most basic trash-tier combat cube cost a staggering 20 million won. Blessed hunters leveled up on autopilot. The classless, they just burned cash in a bottomless pit. Here was the catch. Eun-sul was completely broke. But wait, Sihyun remembered that Lee promised to be his wealthy sponsor. Too bad for her, he saw right through her act. Without that shady alliance, he would be completely screwed right now. The irony was hilarious. This absolute martial god of Murim was officially branded as a talentless trash-tier nobody on Earth. Welcome to the Aurora Guild tutorial raid in the Chiak Mountains, though honestly, you could call it something way more pathetic. The Great Bunny Slaughter. Suddenly, an arrow violently exploded across the field. Sihyun scoffed at the sheer absurdity, going absolutely all out just to hunt a pathetic little fluffball. His sister lectured him about cocky rookies getting wrecked here, then she pointed out a glowing runestone. It pulsed with raw, unrefined, natural energy. These priceless treasures literally made nuclear power plants completely obsolete. Eun-sul fiercely warned her brother to stay alert because dungeon anomalies were terrifyingly unpredictable. Blink and you miss it. He instantly massacred a horde of rabbits, completely ignoring her furious nagging. Meanwhile, our hero noticed a glitch. Spamming his martial arts yielded 0 hunter points. Sihyun glared at his status window, questioning his life choices. The system gave him a painfully basic trash-tier dagger technique. His sister roasted him relentlessly, begging for free handouts only to receive a pathetic Class D ability. Embarrassing. Eun-sul crossed her arms, convinced that his shady sponsor contract was just a massive trap to brutally exploit him. He kept tuning her out, deeply annoyed. Even his oblivious sister felt the sudden chilling shift. She reached out, but he swiftly intercepted her wrist. "Don't you have somewhere to be?" he snapped, leaving her utterly stunned. Exactly 337 bloodthirsty bunnies. His godly martial perception pinpointed every single monster nearby. For a supposed beginner, that sensory range was absolutely impossible. Ignoring her shock, her brother coolly walked straight into danger. Sihyun felt incredibly insulted. The absolute pinnacle of Murim swordsmanship forced to wield a pathetic novice dagger skill. Add the ultimate disrespect of being a classless nobody. Boiling with rage, Sihyun drew his weapon and surged with monstrous energy. Boom! He touched down instantly, cratering the solid earth. The massive bunny army glared at this terrifying new threat. Hearing his sister screaming, he smirked, telling her to chill out. He was way too busy deciding how to cook this rabbit stew. Ping annoying system warnings flooded his vision, trying to painfully spoon-feed him basic blade instructions. Getting a tutorial from the system absolutely pissed him off. The playful warm-up was over. It was time for absolute carnage. The rabid bunny horde lunged like vicious beasts. How dare these lowly creatures think they could actually teach a martial god? He instantly eradicated the swarm. Hunters only existed for 14 years. They'd need a whole century to even scratch his godly level. Ding, multiple system messages flashed, notifying him about his newfound dagger technique. An unexpected glitch. Confused, Sihyun asked his sister to translate the annoying system pop-ups. He complained the text was way too tiny to read. Meanwhile, his sister stood completely paralyzed, terrified by his monstrous display of power. Our hero casually blamed a system bug, but Eun-sul was mentally short-circuiting. How did he casually achieve an A+ proficiency in swordsmanship? Suddenly, a flashing detail caught our hero's eye. He eagerly asked if mana-free passive skills could farm system points. Stunned, his sister slowly nodded yes. A villainous grin spread across his face. His so-called basic skill was actually a divine supreme treasure requiring A+ mastery, completely surpassing perfection. Sihyun grins, realizing this leveling cheat code makes the future a breeze. He readies a devastating strike. Boom! His fist unleashes a massive shockwave. Wait, he can literally farm system skill points using ancient martial arts. No wonder Lee Ji-hae and Park Tae-ho dominate as Korea's top-tier hunters. They definitely lucked out by acquiring insanely overpowered unique skills. Unsol stares blankly at her utterly useless bow. Tossing her pride aside, she immediately begs her overpowered brother for intense martial arts lessons. She always suspected his absurd strength, but recalling those terrifying Red Dungeon memories proves he is basically a walking, breathing raid boss hiding in plain sight. If she remains this pathetically weak, that bloody nightmare scenario will absolutely repeat itself. She would endlessly regret doing nothing, even knowing that catching up to her broken brother is literally an impossible pipe dream. Before the dramatic waterworks start, he casually sighs and finally agrees to take her in. The main character finally scores his very first disciple. This is truly fantastic news, as he can now personally babysit her until she miraculously learns proper self-defense to survive. Contract officially sealed. He orders his new pupil to follow the master, and the chaotic duo sprints across the sprawling grassy plains. Unsol nervously questions his next move, wondering if he will strictly stick to basic hunter skills forever. Suddenly, two ridiculously aggressive mutant rabbits ruthlessly ambush them both. He instantly flexes his ancient martial arts, casually obliterating the fluffy menaces with one god-tier punch. Brushing off his knuckles, our hero admits his future hunter career is just one massive clueless question mark. Despite cracking the basic leveling system, he still desperately craves a shiny class skill. He clearly recalls how Lee flawlessly merged martial arts with her unique rogue abilities. Obviously, the main character needs a class perfectly tailored to his insane specs. Then a glorious, chaotic idea suddenly sparks. Launching into the sky, our hero literally hovers over the rabbit mob spawn, charging absolute magical destruction in his palm. Martial arts classes are completely redundant, and physical ones clash awkwardly. But what about magic boom? One unhinged blast absolutely nukes the entire monster field into fine dust. His sister frantically panics at his unhinged logic, but he smirks. Magic basically equals infinite overpowered cheat code potential. Thus, he decides to become an overpowered mage. Unsol violently sweats, screaming that hunters literally cannot just pick a class randomly. Obviously, our stubborn hero completely ignores reality. Experiencing both systems reveals a hilarious contrast. Honestly, the brutal Murim leveling method feels completely obsolete and useless in this modern dungeon era. Meanwhile, his poor sister secretly celebrates escaping extreme poverty. Deeply relieved her wallet is finally safe for a bit. The hunter interface is suspiciously user-friendly, holding your hand like a gentle tutorial. It feels designed by a completely different Kinder developer. The modern hunter system actually respects your daily grind, throwing instant rewards and fair power-ups at anyone who puts in decent effort. Conversely, the ancient Murim system is a masochistic nightmare, forcing you to repeatedly flirt with death for just a fraction of progress. The celestial goddess supposedly authored the legendary Celestial Cultivation Manual. Waking up in that cave, he finally realizes finding that cheat item book was clearly absolute divine intervention, not mere luck. Applying that crazy logic, the benevolent goddess definitely gifted this easy-mode hunter system to humanity. The main character suddenly gasps in horror. The sadistic developer behind the brutal Murim system was absolutely the celestial god. Thanks to Lee sponsoring him, our main character has been fiercely speed-running dungeon raids for an entire month straight. Punching a giant mutant chicken monster makes him fiercely patriotic. Honestly, nothing screams authentic Korean culture more than spicy fried chicken. Boom, level 22 achieved. Meanwhile, his sister practically memorized 365 blood vessels, finally grasping the terrifying basics of inner chi channeling. Even though her bones are supposedly way too old for basic training, a true Murim master always has crazy shortcuts. Unsol nervously asks about his teaching method. He casually advises her to vomit blood freely. Understandably, she completely loses her mind in absolute terror. Our hero forcefully shatters her blocked chi channels, leaving poor Unsol coughing up literal buckets of dramatic comedic blood. The chaotic training nearly incinerated his eyebrows. Observing this madness, the vice director declares it is finally time to formalize their official contract. Our hero chuckles at her ridiculously blunt business attitude. The main character playfully notes that she has basically been ghosting him lately. Invading his personal space, Lee leans dangerously close and smoothly invites him on a romantic date. Blushing at his very first romantic proposition, the utterly oblivious main character still mercilessly rejects her right to her face. Lee dramatically sighs. A hellish danger level 10 dungeon just spawned in Busan. Only level 45 to 50 veterans survive there, so naturally, She needs our ridiculously overpowered low-level hero. Sihyun squints suspiciously, asking why she wants to duo-raid an absolute death trap with just the two of them. First, she wants absolute monopoly over the dungeon drops. Second, she intends to aggressively power-level our hero into a top-tier hunter immediately. The main character asks if this is a classic bus carry scenario. Lee smirks, roasting him for using modern gamer slang instead of dusty Murim jargon. Curious, our hero demands to know why she is desperately rushing his growth. The vice leader hesitates, her sharp eyes narrowing thoughtfully. Lee reveals the legendary Solar Festival, an annual flex fest hosted by the Aurora and Twilight Guilds. It is basically the ultimate battle tournament to decide the absolute best in Korea. Officially advertised as a wholesome harmony event, but honestly, it is just a brutal measuring contest to crown the absolute strongest monster in Korea. These rival guilds are locked in an endless turf war over dungeons. The public is kept completely in the dark about the bloody chaos inside. Sihyun smells something fishy. He knows damn well these massive brawls are about way more than just loot. She drops a bombshell. It is all Park's fault. That lunatic suddenly started blasting the Aurora Guild like a total madman. And his master plan, forcing everyone to worship some random so-called celestial god. Hearing this, our main character absolutely loses it. He snaps, demanding she spill every single detail about this crazy cult. But Lee swears she only knows Park got a mysterious message straight from Murim. Our hero grumbles inwardly. Not having a lie-detecting status window is a serious pain right now. The vice leader is totally baffled. How could he betray his own guide and comrades so coldly all over one shady text message? Especially since before our overpowered hero showed up, those two were the only players who actually survived Murim. Sihyun strokes his chin thoughtfully. Lee formally begs him to represent Aurora at the upcoming festival. Recently, the Twilight Guild has been totally dominating the power rankings, all because those bullies keep forcefully hijacking dungeons. If the world sees this pathetic power gap at the festival, Aurora is doomed, especially since our hero accidentally vaporized their former director. Oops. Still, Sihyun tilts his head. Why the heck does she want him playing Hunter? Lee sighs, explaining that the Solar Festival is literally a massive global media circus. She knows he wants to keep his god-tier martial arts hidden, unless he is genuinely crazy enough to try and solo modern society. To join the festival without blowing his cover, he strictly must use official hunter skills. Since our guy totally owes her a massive favor, refusing is not an option. In fact, she already locked in his RSVP without waiting for a yes. The bribe, 6 shiny mage skills including 2 super rare high-tier ones plus a sweet sorcerer class bonus. Doing the math, Sihyun figures he will end up punching this Park guy eventually anyway. So honestly, this deal is an absolute steal. Suddenly a contract flutters into his face, because unlike the lawless wilds of Murim, Earth loves its bureaucracy. Yep, our almighty protagonist has to conquer the ultimate boss, signing legal documents. These cover payment guarantees and service agreements. But wait, to legally rep Aurora at the festival, our freelancer hero actually needs to establish his own official guild. Basically, the man needs a corporate business ID. Plus, if he wants those super expensive skill cubes, he better sign right now. Sneaky Lee had this entire trap planned from day one. Sihyun just needs a dummy name for his brand new guild. He can literally scribble down any random word. He officially registers it as No Limits. Flash forward to the teleportation gate. Our homebody hero sighs, realizing his entire social life now revolves around raiding sweaty dungeons. Welcome to today's lovely vacation spot, the bird monsters of Busan. Jihae warns him that while one bird is pathetic, their endless swarm numbers are absolutely terrifying. Scanning with his key, Sihyun detects 3,000 targets. His gamer brain lights up with pure joy. More mobs equals more experience. He summons a dazzling spear of light. With one wicked swing, he violently electrocutes the flying flock. Lee's jaw hits the floor. He literally just learned that skill, but our overpowered guy shrugs, claiming mana and ki are basically identical. She nervously warns him about mana depletion, but he just laughs at the concept of running dry. Then Sihyun casually asks if these dungeons always spawn just a single monster type. Jihae nods, which triggers our hero's suspicion. She explains that since the Great Awakening 14 years ago, thousands of gates have been cleared, and never in history has a dungeon ever hosted a double feature of monster species. Suddenly, something violently shreds a bird monster, slamming its remains into the wall. A colossal dragon roars deafeningly. Meanwhile, beside a tranquil lake, a man peacefully tosses feed to the fish. Cut to a luxurious Seoul mansion, home to the infamous Twilight Guild master Park Tae-hoon. His lackey, Kim Chul-ho, urgently reports that Aurora's vice leader is acting highly suspicious. Intel confirms she has been aggressively babysitting some random rookie, practically holding his hand through multiple dungeon runs. But the arrogant guildmaster barely even blinks at this juicy gossip. The desperate assistant pushes further. This rookie is a member's missing brother, a guy who totally vanished 14 years ago and miraculously respawned. He babbles on, but that 14-year detail finally hooks Park's interest. His eyes narrow as he demands to know the kid's whereabouts. Kim sweats, admitting they have zero clue. However, they did confirm that Aurora's old boss absolutely did not retire peacefully. He vanished right after fighting this rookie over his bratty son. Park smirks coldly. That old fool is already dead. The assistant gasps in disbelief, but the guildmaster confidently declares that Cha Sihyun literally assassinated him. That proves this overpowered rookie is straight out of Murim. Back in the dungeon, our hero simply smirks at his roasted prey. Cha Sihyun mused that system skills lacked that classic Murim flavor, but Lee quickly snapped at him for treating this like a playground. They had been wrecking this dungeon for a solid hour. Surely his mana pool had to be scraping the absolute bottom by now, right? Our hero just smirked, ready to drop truth bombs. Back in his prime, he possessed a divine technique that perfectly converted his own life force into raw, magical energy. Thanks to his legendary Murim ethereal body, his vitality was essentially endless. Thus, his mana supply was literally infinite. Lee's brain practically short-circuited from the sheer absurdity. Seeing her confusion, he simplified things. He was basically a walking infinity cheat code. At the absolute apex of strength, magic, and martial arts, seamlessly became one and the exact same. Being max level meant absolute omnipotence. Having flexed enough, Sihyun casually announced he would now step up and completely obliterate the boss. Lee sighed in relief. With a monstrous ally like him, she truly had nothing to fear anymore. A lowly beast foolishly attempted a sneaky ambush, but the pathetic monster was instantly slashed into absolute ribbons. Time to earn her paycheck. The sky swarmed with endless enemies, but her blinding blade work annihilated them in mere seconds. Digging her blades into a jagged cliff, she stopped her fall. Using the rock face, she launched herself forward like a coiled spring. The fierce vice leader chained her strikes, slaughtering beasts one by one. Reaching the mountain's peak, she grimaced. The endless monster wave showed zero signs of stopping, an absolute sea of monsters. If she survived this, she was definitely filing a massive complaint. This danger level was wildly miscalculated. Normally, her perfectly balanced raid party could easily handle this exact chaotic scenario. A mage, an archer, a cleric, a scout, and a warrior. But right then, a sudden bone-chilling dread violently crawled up her spine. A colossal shadow covered the sky. Massive dragons. But wait. Why were there two completely different monster ecologies coexisting in this exact same dungeon? She backflipped instantly to dodge a deadly strike, but a second beast ruthlessly followed up. She desperately charged up her defensive magic, but a hidden third dragon aggressively ambushed her blind spot, violently smashing her right out of the sky. Demonic energy radiated everywhere. The dungeon's core rules were completely and utterly broken. She barely stabilized her violent fall. Meanwhile, our overpowered hero grinned eagerly, awaiting this dramatic moment. Furious Lee realized he had sensed these hidden beasts all along. Sihyun just laughed, claiming he saved the very best appetizers for last. He casually noted that her momentary freeze was completely natural. Plus, he totally trusted her capable combat skills. Stomach rumbling, our hero hilariously asked if she preferred her dragon meat fried or grilled. Lee angrily screamed that this was no time for culinary jokes. Blazing hellfire ignited in his left hand while crackling lightning sparked in his right. These were his freshly acquired elemental arts. He smirked at the incoming threat. The enraged dragons fiercely dive-bombed him, plunging through the blood-stained deadly sky. Watching him clash, Lee's jaw utterly dropped. She expected grand spells, but this absolute madman was literally just punching massive dragons. "This is physical magic," Sihyun proudly shouted. While Lee stood paralyzed by his sheer absurdity, a massive demonic rift tore open, unleashing even more beasts. Panicking, she dashed forward to assist. Strangely, the madman stood totally still, completely allowing the deadly creatures to firmly surround him. She unleashed a dazzling flurry of shadowy strikes. She aimed to carve a desperate escape path, but the grotesque monsters surprisingly refused to budge. Instead, they brutally absorbed the fierce hits. The alphas were sacrificing the weaker kin. Lee desperately screamed his name. A horrifying realization finally hit her. These mindless fodder beasts definitely weren't fighting on basic survival instinct anymore. The colossal dragons were using hive mind tactics. That explained the suicidal meat shields. Suddenly, the tactical path to absolute victory became crystal clear. Cut off the head of the snake, but was her crazy companion still alive in there? She anxiously recalled Sihyun's last, utterly unbothered expression. Those incredibly calm eyes proved he tanked it intentionally. It absolutely infuriated her that she could never read this overpowered guy's mind. She desperately wanted to rescue him, but this chaotic dungeon anomaly was actively pushing their absolute survival limits to a terrifying extreme. Suddenly, a brilliant tactical flash crossed her mind. While the monstrous horde focused on the center, one distracted beast totally missed the deadly assassin mounting it. She planned to assassinate the hidden alpha, but a blindsided Drake suddenly crashed directly into her ride, violently derailing her stealthy approach. Plummeting downwards, she fiercely aimed at another beast. Plunging her dagger deep into its scales, she violently anchored herself. The horde finally noticed her presence, but they were fatally late. Confident in a chaotic duel, she completely unleashed her ultimate shadow dance technique. But the monsters were absolutely endless. Just as despair crept into this infinite battle, a terrifyingly dense magical aura violently brushed past her shoulder. A massive apocalyptic explosion shattered the sky. The shocked vice leader couldn't even process where such ridiculously overwhelming energy originated. Our madman casually cast the legendary divine sword arts, but on a totally world-ending scale, she was finally witnessing his true limitless power. Sihyun yawned, officially bored of playing a normal hunter. Countless radiant swords manifested instantly. A devastating meteor shower of divine light obliterated the beasts. In mere seconds, they were utterly vaporized. The battle concluded, but one massive mystery remained. If this catastrophic glitch hits another dungeon, we are doomed. The system's danger levels are basically useless trash now. A total party wipeout is guaranteed if this anomaly spreads. Honestly, the Solar Festival feels like a side quest now. But knowing that Snake Park Dojin, he will absolutely weaponize this chaos. One wrong move and the Twilight Guild will swallow them whole. Lee's brain is completely short-circuiting. Suddenly, right in the middle of her panic, an item gets shoved into her face. Cha Sihyun snaps her back to reality. Look at this, he casually dangles a totally unique glowing core. A mega rare skill stone, dropped by a boss, so its power level is absolutely insane, yet she is still completely zoning out. Pulling herself together, the vice leader grabs our main character's attention for a seriously heavy talk. Fast forward exactly 1 month, the streets are buzzing about the Solar Festival and some mysterious new monster rookie. Our boy broke the internet, rumors call him Aurora's ultimate hidden card. Meanwhile, poor Kim is sweating bullets realizing his doom. Inside the Twilight base, absolute chaos reigns. The top brass are losing their minds over this viral, unknown wildcard. One clueless elite keeps screaming totally blind to the guildmaster lurking behind him. With chilling calm, the boss commands him to sit. The loudmouth instantly shrinks. The boss smirks, claiming Aurora played their master card way too early. They will test this so-called legend soon enough. But first, it is time to forcefully rip him straight off the gaming board. Cut to a fancy cafe where Kim Joo-ho is practically vibrating with sheer panic. He frantically checks his watch, praying for survival. Seeing his target arrive, he shoots up like a rocket. He forces a smile, thanking heaven the bait worked. Our glorious main character, Cha Sihyun, casually scans the luxurious room. He stares blankly at the trembling, outstretched hand. Reluctantly, he grips the hand. He casually asks if this guy is the assistant before awkwardly correcting his Murim-style street slang. Kim secretly thinks this overpowered rookie is completely mannerless. But Kim swallows his pride. His actual mission: drain every drop of intel from him. Staring at this sweating mess, Sihyun seriously questions if the whole Twilight Guild is just completely brain-dead. Kim slams a high-tier stealth artifact onto the table. One click and a massive silence barrier completely blocks out the outside world. Our main character totally smirks at this super desperate attempt for top-secret privacy. Kim immediately drops the bait, offering a shiny guild partnership. But Sihyun yawns, flexing his solid alliance with the Aurora faction. Sweating harder, Kim admits they already know about Aurora pouring massive cash into his pockets. Oh, and they stalked him. They literally recorded his dungeon raids and the whole explosive Seojin disaster alongside Lee. Yet they realized he rejected Aurora's official badge. He forged a crazy one-man army guild, instead maintaining just a simple friendly vibe. Connecting the dots, this sneaky assistant bets there is a massive wedge between them. Boom, he slides over a mega deal promising infinite resources and ultimate VIP treatment. Sihyun is actually impressed. A flawless corporate pitch. Kim excitedly reaches for the contract, but our boy instantly shuts him down. Savage, he bluntly admits he only showed up for laughs, and this whole chat is utterly useless filler. Desperate to save his neck, Kim screams out a bribe, skip the upcoming festival and become filthy, unbelievably rich. But Sihyun casually brushes it off. He owes Lee massive karma, plus losing just sucks. Panic-stricken Kim literally begs him to stay. He had an entire script left. Suddenly, a chilling voice asks why he is pathetically staring at the exit. Plot twist, the final boss was hiding right there. Park coldly reminds his minion of his one basic job. Stalling for time, the Grandmaster was secretly eavesdropping on their entire conversation to gauge the rookie's power. Kim stammers a pathetic apology. Park waves it off, completely baffled by the weird aura he sensed. Just who is this mysterious rookie? Back at base, Lee reads the intel and smirks. The mighty Park must be throwing an absolute tantrum. Our overpowered king shrugs. Park totally sensed his Murim energy, but since his martial artist title is barely known, zero panic. From the very first step inside, Sihyun easily detected the snake, secretly flaring his deadly ki. Lee happily bets that Twilight will completely back off. Their sneaky ambush negotiation crashed and burned beautifully. Shifting gears, he asks for the latest dungeon radar intel. The vice leader sighs, confirming no deadly anomalies have popped up, yet. He flashes back to her deep gratitude after he slaughtered the true boss and saved her neck. He offers more backup, but she gently declines. Still, she spots his normally blazing aura dimming today. Right on cue, his little sister's ringtone interrupts, signaling time is officially up. He ends the call with a heavy sigh. The siblings are embarking on a solemn trip to the graveyard. Staring through the glass at a faded family portrait, Chunwol whispers softly, "Their legendary brother has finally truly come home." Watching from the shadows, our main character sighs. Coming here was a massive mistake. The man he once was, long dead and buried. His tear ducts are completely dry even in this heavy atmosphere, showing this cold, inhuman monster to his little sister, absolute torture. But faking it is utterly pointless. Cha Eun-sol tearfully demands, "Do you feel absolutely nothing?" Not a single trace of sorrow crosses his face. She desperately begs for an explanation. Yet the only pathetic excuse escaping his lips is, "I am sorry." He is morphed into a hollow shell, unable to give the warmth she craves. Naturally, Eun-sol completely loses her mind in total frustration. She screams at her dense brother, realizing he is completely missing the point. She only ever wanted one simple thing from him. Flashbacks of their warm childhood hit her like a truck. Why did her sweet older brother transform into an absolute iceberg? To her, Cha Sihyun is basically a stranger now. But whatever, right, she has been surviving on her own just fine anyway. Turning her back, she storms off. His internal monologue screams that showing up was a colossal fail. Her burning question lingers, why the dark change? Honestly, he wishes he knew why the universe hates him too. Ding, suddenly a glowing system prompt strikes. A chilling Murim status window drops. It aggressively questions why he is still wearing that incredibly fragile human skin. Sihyun is utterly clueless. The interface flashes, mocking his denial. It smugly offers a brand new terrifying contract just for him. Our main character scoffs at the infinite greed. He is totally certain now he is staring down the celestial god. The system ruthlessly threatens to terminate his life a second time. But Cha Sihyun, he just smirks, refusing to yield. He vows to hunt this arrogant deity down and crush it. The system ominously flashes, challenge accepted. Then the glowing hologram completely vanishes. A dark shadow falls over our hero's face. The threat of a tragic reset is terrifying, especially when his little sister is his entire world. Glancing over her shoulder, Eun-sol realizes the heartbreaking truth her brother never followed. Fast forward, a hyperactive host practically bounces on the live broadcast. The hype is real. The long-awaited day to watch legendary heroes raid dungeons and obliterate terrifying monsters is finally here. The ultimate spectacle has officially begun. South Korea's most heavily anticipated blockbuster event, the glorious Solar Festival, is finally kicking off. Designed as a peaceful guild bonding party, it is secretly the ultimate excuse for fans to watch overpowered hunters, flexing their insane skills live. Our main character casually thinks this festival screams superhuman Olympics. Senior Lee explains the public obsession. Normal people worship these hunters like literal blockbuster superheroes. The Solar Festival's main public relations mission, make hunters look super approachable. Suddenly Lee spots a ridiculously dark aura radiating from our hero. Slamming her teacup down, the sharp vice leader cuts straight to the chase. "Did you seriously pick a fight with team leader Cha Anil again?" They both walked in with absolute doom and gloom faces, so she naturally blamed him. Ignoring her, our hero bluntly begs for a remote, dead silent hideaway. She tilts her head in utter confusion, but hearing about a Murim system prompt completely shatters her cool. Our hero grimly admits his gut feeling. That terrifying celestial god is actively hunting him down. He cannot predict this apocalyptic clash, but keeping his sister safe is priority number one. Senior Lee's brain utterly short-circuits. This entire magical suicide mission sounds like pure madness. Vanishing from your sister's life for her own good. That sounds incredibly stupid. But he stubbornly insists Eun-sol deserves better than a broken monster. Her warm brother tragically died long ago, just like she screamed at him. Maybe he should have just rotted in Murim. Refusing to hear this tragic nonsense, Lee punches him in the face. Wiping her fist, she boldly declares her hatred for nosy drama. But if her own brother spouted that pathetic garbage, she would totally deck him too. She ruthlessly claims he understands his own sister worse than a total stranger does. A random guy bursts in seeking Cha Anil only to witness this hilariously violent domestic dispute. Senior Lee completely ignores the awkwardness, ordering our hero to freeze while she handles it. Rubbing his stinging cheek, the boy stands completely speechless. Talk about a violently epic reality check. Back to the festival hype. The main announcer screams for the opening ceremony to commence. Enter the legendary paladin and absolute boss of the Aurora Guild, Jang Jin-ho. Flanking him is the shady rogue and Twilight's vice master, Jang Sung-wook. The crowd immediately gossips about their intensely dramatic shared history in the exact same party. Suddenly, a super arrogant hand extends towards our vice leader. Blazing fury flashes in Lee's eyes, but she flawlessly masks her killing intent with a politically perfect handshake. With a dangerously sweet smile, she sharply notes that her pathetic little replacement has finally leveled up a bit. The replacement glares deeply offended until his boss instantly pulls his leash. Park smugly fires back, mocking Lee for babysitting trash-tier rookies and wasting her precious talent on the weak. To her sharp ears, it is a blatant toxic threat to completely destroy her new precious bonds again. But honestly, she refuses to let history violently repeat itself. Unfazed, she flashes an ice-cold smirk, smoothly accepting his filthy trash talk as a genuine compliment. Hidden beneath that smile, an accepted declaration of war, the solar festival detonates and an explosive duel is fiercely underway. The arena rumbles as a berserker warrior unleashes a devastating flurry strike, desperately raising her heavy shield. The defending girl struggles to survive the overwhelming barrage. Finding a brutal opening, the warrior thrusts his spear with lightning speed. Her defenses completely shatter, leaving her totally crushed and officially eliminated from the match. Round 5 wraps up. A Twilight goon takes the win brutally, thrashing his rival with a ridiculously blunt spear. Park smirks at the bloodbath. Sure, it dragged on, but trash mobs always take extra sweeping time. Lee mentally gags at his massive, inflated ego. Yawning, the boss bails to find better entertainment. Lee watches him go, intrigued. Meanwhile, his loyal vice captain lurks right outside. The lackey begs to assassinate Lee immediately. Park just chuckles. Chill out, her doom is already scheduled. Right now his radar is locked onto Cha Yun-sul. Time for a creepy chat. The announcer hypes up the Archer survival battle. She practically buzzes with excitement, asking her co-host for his winning pick. The guy bets it all on rookie prodigy Cha Yun-sul. Her track record is insane, ignoring that little life-threatening disaster she recently survived inside the Red Wolf dungeon. Backstage, some extras whine about her getting squad captain duties. Yun-sul overhears the gossip and fiercely dares them to talk that trash to her face. The trash talkers completely freeze. Panicking, they scamper away like totally terrified little puppies. Yun-sul lets out a deeply exhausted, dramatic sigh. The silent treatment from her brother is wrecking her nerves. Just remembering their fight sends her anxiety skyrocketing. Ding, a visitor arrives. She braces for her brother, but her face completely drops when Vice Captain Lee casually walks in for a wellness check. Yun-sul glares suspiciously, but Lee claims she is just delivering a pep talk. Lee casually mentions the main character ditched her. Oops, that instantly triggered a massive death glare. Sensing the heavy sibling drama, Lee gently nudges her to just talk to the guy. Yun-sul snaps, demanding why she is meddling. Lee claims standard investor concern. But Yun-sul absolutely believes this woman is shamelessly manipulating her precious big brother. She completely blames Lee for dragging him back into this dangerous hunter mess. He clearly belonged in a peaceful life. His obsessive drive to level up his absurd strength feels totally ridiculous to her. She heavily suspects the guy is hiding some massive secret. Crying out, she screams that her sweet brother is gone, replaced by an icy stranger. The speakers blare, announcing the match. Yun-sul hastily apologizes for snapping. As she turns, Lee drops a truth bomb. He never wanted this cold, monstrous transformation. Lee confesses she actually survived the exact same living nightmare as Sihyun. He crawled through pure hell for ages. You absolutely do not walk out of that abyss with your sanity completely intact. Obviously, he desperately hides his broken, traumatized side from his precious, innocent little sister. Yet Yun-sul bitterly wonders why some random boss is explaining this instead of her actual sibling. She feels utterly sidelined by their high-level hunter bond. As the depressed sniper stomps away, Lee sharply glares toward a suspiciously empty corner. The sneaky brother was awkwardly eavesdropping the entire time. Despite his edgy lone wolf act, he clearly adores his sister way too much to quit. Honestly, his dramatic stubbornness gives Lee Major Park vibes. She violently grabs his collar, barking at him to stop treating Yun-sul like a baby. Just speak the honest truth, man. Playing mysterious anime protagonist will only destroy their family bond. Lee drags him along to witness his little sister's hidden badass side. Pop, the starting flare violently explodes across the sky. Shadows dart through the ruins. 6 elite guild squads are about to cause absolute chaos. Park practically sweats in terror, dreading the impending chaos. After all, he secretly planted a deadly surprise. The bloody games officially begin. Static crackles Charlie Squad, casually announces enemy contact. Team Golf frantically radios back, reporting a fierce firefight 200 meters out. Flashbacks of that infuriating sibling argument flood Yun-sul's mind, igniting her simmering rage. Seeing him trust Lee over his own flesh totally boils her blood. Radio chatter screams about ambushes, but she remains completely blinded by sheer annoyance. Suddenly, an enemy silhouette appears. Her squad nervously warns that the target is way beyond range. 300 meters, practically impossible, but Yun-sul aggressively draws her bow anyway, channeling raw aura straight into her ultimate sniper skill. The victim spots the terrifying glow, but dodging is literally impossible. Bam Twilight's sixth member gets hilariously deleted from the arena. She casually calls the confirmed kill, leaving her entire squad absolutely utterly jaw-dropped. She absolutely refuses to be pitied anymore. Flashbacks show pathetic relatives constantly mourning the poor tragic orphan who lost her whole family. Society foolishly claimed her brother vanished without a trace, but she fiercely believed he somehow survived. Right then, a breaking news broadcast flashed across the screen, announcing a cataclysmic system shift that completely broke reality itself. The divine being declared humanity's forced evolution. Now surrounded by absurd realities like gods, dungeons, and monsters, her conviction burned brighter than ever. Her foolish older brother had to be alive somewhere. Following her awakening assessment, she unlocked the legendary Archer class. Securing a scholarship to the elite Hunter Academy wasn't entirely peaceful. Boom, some trashy, extra-dumped spoiled milk right over her head. These arrogant nobles ruthlessly bullied the orphan girl. To their absolute disgust, she was crushing their elite ranks, completely free of charge. Yet before his trash talk could continue, a flying lunch tray violently smashed into his face. Cha Eun-seol coldly smirks, warning them not to act jealous until their own parents face that exact tragic fate. Refusing to back down, the idiot keeps barking, so she officially challenges his life outside. And just like that, she crushed the rankings as valedictorian, triumphantly entering the legendary Aurora Guild. A vicious blue beast lunges with killing intent. Eun-seol desperately blocks the impact with her bow, her fingers frantically clawing for a sharp arrowhead. Gripping the steel, she viciously plunges it deep into the monster's flesh. As always, she survived, relying on her own grit. Captain Lee casually saunters in late, offering useless backup. She scoffs, already standing over the corpse. The Vice Master demands the fierce rookie's name, and she proudly declares it aloud. Catching the Master's eye, she rocketed straight into the guild's elite leadership at an insanely young age. Obviously, the jealous Daesu absolutely despised her rapid promotion. Yet this brutal climb perfectly aligned with her ultimate life mission. Eun-seol craved absolute power. She needed to survive alone, forging an unbreakable mindset despite her beloved brother's lingering absence. Because of this, she violently shattered her own limits daily. Eun-seol tenderly grips the silver necklace, holding her precious family portrait. Honestly, it felt incredibly pointless since that idiot brother ditched her to hang out with Lee. Sure, her sibling possessed god-tier strength, but she absolutely refused to remain the weak, helpless little sister anymore. Venting her frustration, she finally breathes. However, the battlefield suddenly feels suspiciously dead and silent. Grabbing the comms, Eun-seol radios in her tactical repositioning. Instantly, her danger sense flares. A deadly shower of arrows blacks out the sky. Bam! A precise strike catches her completely off guard. Hidden in the shadows, an enemy squad confirms their prey is finally cornered. Luckily, the projectile barely missed her vital muscles. But here was the terrifying twist. These training arrows were suddenly tipped with lethal razor-sharp steel. These bastards brought actual killing gear. Smirking, the enemy commander confirms all communication signals are totally jammed. No rescue is coming. Eun-seol just lets out a terrifying chuckle. Backup. She hasn't relied on pathetic concepts like that a single day. Yanking the bloody shaft out, she tosses it aside. Gripping her weapon tightly, she arrogantly taunts the entire squad to rush her simultaneously. Kill her, the commander roars. A massive volley of steel descends from above, violently piercing nothing but dirt. Eun-seol gracefully vaults right over the deadly storm. Her legendary class skill erupts. Glowing mana duplicates her weapon's tip into a terrifying arsenal. Now she is the one raining down absolute destruction. A slight flinch from her bleeding wound leaves one survivor. Yet that fool completely paralyzes in sheer terror, witnessing his entire squad instantly annihilated. Even crazier, she was wielding blunt practice gear. The terrified grunt could barely comprehend such catastrophic, point-blank devastation under these impossible odds. Usually snipers dominate vast distances. Marksmen lock down specific kill zones while rangers boast unparalleled evasive footwork and insane battlefield agility. Ignoring the burning agony tearing through her shoulder, Eun-seol aggressively steps forward to permanently silence the remaining trash. Suddenly, a hidden assassin exploits her blind spot. Twisting her body, she flawlessly evades death. The lethal strike cuts empty air, granting her the perfect window to violently counterattack. A blinding shockwave of mana rockets forward, terrifyingly grazing his fragile skull. Boom. Her unique skill operates exactly like a deadly boomerang. The glowing projectile violently bends backward, approaching blindly, while the idiot continues barking pathetic insults. Crack. The steel violently impales his spine. Another extra bites the dust, leaving Eun-seol victorious. Suddenly, the chaotic ambush shifts into a dangerously tense one-on-one duel. Suffocating tension fills the air as their fierce eyes lock. Shockingly, the previously wounded bastard shakily rises once again. Exploiting the distraction, he cowardly launches a lethal sneak attack. A silent arrow rockets straight toward her back. Terrifyingly, the young heroine remains completely oblivious to impending doom. Yet, an instant before impact, her legendary brother's annoying martial arts lectures spontaneously echo through her mind. Whoosh! She snatches the fatal shaft out of thin air. The trembling sniper freezes in sheer despair as Eun-seol blitzes forward like raging lightning. Bam! She violently buries an earth-shattering punch straight into his face. Yeah, there's absolutely zero chance that broken mess is ever waking up again. Eun-seol locks onto the final surviving rat, completely ready to beat him into a bloody pulp. Hilariously, the pathetic loser immediately bursts into ugly tears, screaming his unconditional surrender. Right then, reinforcements breach the battlefield. Thwack! Instantly, the crying survivor catches a stray arrow straight through his skull. The squad enthusiastically praises Eun-seol for her monstrous solo wipeout. Smirking, she accepts the compliment but coldly roasts them for their slow arrival. Surviving the brutal 6th stage, the mighty Aurora Guild claims absolute victory in the tournament. Because the signal dropped, the crowd missed the massacre. However, rumors exploded that Eun-seol single-handedly annihilated 4 elite competitors all at once. Even those snobby judges who trashed her earlier were forced to bow to her overwhelming dominance. Sighing, our stubborn heroine finally confesses she purposefully rejected their useless backup. Thanks to her brother's ridiculous buff, Eun-seol basically possesses clairvoyance. High above a chopper circles the bloodbath, carrying none other than our overpoweringly smug main character. Of course, Lee radiates absolute pride, but obviously big brother Cha Shin-hyun is incredibly thrilled too. He jokes her martial arts kept her alive. But deep down, he finally admits he barely knows his own flesh and blood. Still, he acknowledges her incredible growth. Our main character swears he'll never treat her like a helpless kid again, because honestly, he is bursting with pride for his little sister. Lee assumes the broken broadcast hid everything from Park. Wrong. That snake was watching like a hawk, witnessing her flawless martial arts execution. Next day at the theme park, Cha Eun-seol totally fishes for a massive compliment about her epic challenge performance. His reaction feigning absolute hilarious ignorance like it wasn't his business. She pouts, guessing her legendary brother, the supposed strongest man alive with his ridiculously long title, finds her skills totally pathetic, especially after draining her mana, but he disagrees completely. To him, her power is undeniable. She is brilliantly carving out her own destiny. Our main character finally drops the tough act. He apologizes for lying, admitting he just wanted to play the protective older sibling. The truth, he was so blinded by memories of the little crybaby he completely missed the fierce warrior she had become. Sihyun confesses his real motive: he awakened as a hunter solely to hunt down the bastard who dragged him away. Hitting the absolute max level is his only path to vengeance. Dragging his beloved sister into that bloody mess, unthinkable. Eun-seol smirks, teasing his sudden emotional outburst. But her core demand is simple: swear on your life you will never vanish again. No half measures either. She ruthlessly calls out his past secrets, admitting his lies made her feel completely cast aside and abandoned. His heart twists with guilt. Swallowing his pride, he seals their vow with an ultimate pinky promise. But wait, he needs to clarify one crucial detail. His title isn't some blah-blah joke, it is Emperor of the Supreme Sword. She hilariously tells him to drop dead. Meanwhile, the system blares. Only 1 hour remains until the apocalyptic guild war erupts. Time for our overpowered lead to deploy. Eun-seol stares, judging him hard. Is he seriously wearing that tragic fashion disaster into combat? He defends his terrible drip as peak comfort, but his tone darkens. Why did that shady faction target her so precisely? Eun-seol brushes it off. Guilds brawling inside dungeons is standard trash behavior, yet their brazen, totally shameless ambush was definitely a nasty first. In her confident mind, it simply solidifies her flawless status as Aurora's ultimate ace. Hearing her pure delusion, he sighs, yep, blood definitely runs thick, but that celestial bastard's looming threat quickly sours his mood. Later, Aurora's actual boss approaches our legend. Lee cashes in his favor. The main character will spearhead the upcoming catastrophic guild clash. Formalities done, the guildmaster scurries off to inspect his remaining troops. Sihyun questions if this is Lee's hidden boss. Hilariously, the guy is glaringly weaker than her, stuck at a miserable level 60. As they part ways, her telepathic voice echoes. A strict warning: absolutely no flashy martial arts during the impending brawl. He mentally scoffs, certain these weaklings wouldn't recognize true arts anyway, but begrudgingly agrees. Before she fades out, he drops a rare, genuine thanks for fixing his sibling drama. A massive wave of relief washes over Lee. With a soft smile, she wishes him absolute victory. With the top dogs gone, the random guild grunts immediately swarm our hero. They shamelessly fanboy, claiming his monstrous reputation precedes him. Honestly, their chatter is pure background noise. His mind is violently obsessing over that highly suspicious, hyper-targeted ambush on his little sister. Then the worst possible scum crashes the party. Leader Park feigns shocked innocence at their chill vibe. Instantly, our lead connects the dots. Twilight's true backer is that arrogant celestial god, meaning this smiling guildmaster is a dangerously lethal hidden threat. Park peddles some trash excuse about a friendly visit. Sensing zero trust in the room, the snake drops the act, admitting he wants to analyze their hyped-up supernova rookie. The enemy boss oozes fake charm, greeting our main character. Flashing a deeply punchable grin, he claims this is their very first encounter. Recognizing the utter bullshit, our lead plays along beautifully. He coldly agrees. They are complete strangers. Park eagerly waited for an aura clash. Instead, absolute maddening silence. Confusion shatters his smugness. That missing energy resonance was his surefire proof linking this guy to Unsol's explosive martial arts awakening. Instead, Sihyun casually points out the lackey. Dripping with heavy sarcasm, our lead mourns that their past blood feud never truly blossomed. His eyes flash with murder. He mockingly thanks the rat for ambushing his precious sister during that chaotic hunter exam. The unspoken promise. Brutal absolute slaughter. Unfazed Park smugly replies he is utterly dying for that spectacular show. Sihyun ignores the man's terrifying status. You touch his baby sister, you buy a one-way ticket to hell. He silently vows an apocalyptic massacre against Twilight. Suddenly, the arena speakers boom. The hyped announcer screams, thanking the roaring crowd for their explosive patience. The ultimate bloody climax is here. Aurora versus Twilight. The legendary guild war kicks off, sending the entire stadium into absolute screaming madness. Stepping up as Aurora's vanguard, the monstrous rookie who literally has the whole world trembling. Enter the vanguard limitless guild leader Cha Sihyun. An absolute mystery representing the guild for the first time. His total anonymity. That is, his ultimate weapon. Facing him is Twilight's vanguard, the self-proclaimed king of flames with blazing charisma, draconic Ryu Jun. Sihyun practically chuckles at that cheesy title. Let the first match begin. Up in the stands, Park desperately hopes his fire mage drags this out to expose our hero's true strength. Ryu knows exactly what his boss expects. But the match has barely even started. And our guy is already floating, a basic levitation skill, but the announcer calls it a wildly flashy opening. The guildmaster is utterly baffled. But Lee knows the truth, our guy is just hardcore flexing. Ryu is a solid level 50 hunter, basically on par with Seo Kangjin. If our hero could unleash his Murim arts, this would be a total cakewalk. But stuck using only standard system skills, things might get a little spicy. Sihyun sits at level 53. Honestly, he severely lacks official hunter combat experience, plus he has too many eyes watching his every move. Park is practically drooling to see those martial arts in action. Sadly for him, our hero loves playing hard to get. Sihyun throws the first strike. In a panic, Ryu hastily throws up a defensive flame barrier. Blocking the hit, Ryu is genuinely confused. Why use such basic low-tier attacks? He easily melts the magic away. The arrogant mage smirks, keeping his ultimate trump card hidden. You see, this class has 3 distinct evolutionary paths. First, the support-focused craftsman. Second, the devastating elemental specialist, the arcanist. Third, the warlock, bordering on supernatural. They usually play support, but a rare few unlock absolutely lethal offensive abilities. But playing it safe in the backline, definitely not Ryu's style. He taunts Sihyun to show his true colors, launching a brutally explosive kick straight at our hero. Sihyun gets blasted backward, searing heat singes the air right before a massive detonation shakes the arena. Ryu flexes his lifelong fiery mastery. A close-quarters combat mage, now that is a painfully rare build. Sihyun thought he was the only fake mage using martial arts. No wonder Ryu's combat style triggered his Murim spider sense. Delivering one cocky final warning, Ryu activates his unique skill. He violently demands our hero's absolute best. A roaring fire dragon charges time for Sihyun to drop a massive reality check. With a casual flick of his wrist, the blazing dragon is sliced completely in half. Ryu faceplants the dirt, absolutely dumbfounded. The announcer is speechless. To her, the flames just vanished into thin air. But the VIP spectators saw the chilling truth. To their trained eyes, that roaring inferno was brutally crushed by an overwhelming supreme force. Aurora's master demands answers from Supreme Lee. Hiding her murderous intent, she coldly admits she has absolutely no clue. Park watches in dead silence, internally hyperventilating as his grand master plan crumbles. The announcer screams that Ryu's ultimate attack could not even ruffle our hero's clothes. That humiliating realization shatters Ryu's fragile ego. Blinded by sheer rage, he recklessly charges forward. Sihyun laughs brutally, mocking the mage for throwing a tantrum over a little power gap. A wild kick swings through empty air. Consumed by wrath, Ryu unleashes a frantic barrage, which Sihyun swats away like flies. The audience is paralyzed with confusion. 2 supposed mages throwing down in a literal fistfight. Mid-block Sihyun casually critiques his posture. His nerves are completely ruining his footwork. He points out the terrible weight distribution and embarrassingly wide stances. To our Murim master, this is not a duel. It is a terrible circus act. Ryu is practically sweating blood. How is a mere mage predicting his every movement? Smirking, Sihyun hints at his martial arts hobby, then drops the ultimate insult. Is this really all the great Fire King has to offer? He roasts the kid for having a dragon-sized ego and ant-tier strength. Foaming at the mouth, Ryu vows to reduce him to actual ashes. Sihyun effortlessly glides backward. As he retreats, an apocalyptic pillar of fire erupts into the sky. Ready to burn his own life force for victory, Ryu unleashes his absolute limit. Behold, the waltz of 10 fire dragons. The devastating inferno engulfs the arena, yet our main character just sighs like it is a mild inconvenience. Still, cleaning this up will be annoying. 10 blazing beasts swallow the battlefield whole, sending blistering shockwaves straight into the terrified crowd. Lee watches intently, her stoic facade finally cracking. Even this suicidal final strike could not put a single scratch on Sihyun's absolute defense. Dusting his shoulders, our OP hero casually sighs. This is exactly why fighting tryhards is so exhausting. Complaining about the awful heat, he simply swats his hand. The terrifying dragons are violently tossed around like bath toys before fizzling into pathetic smoke. Cha Sihyun drops a brutal reality check. Just give up, buddy. The poor announcer is completely losing his mind over this insane power level. She desperately guesses our boy is secretly manipulating gravity itself. Bam! The mage eats dirt. The crowd's jaws drop to the floor. Gravity control. That is absolutely busted. That is literal god-tier stuff. Ryu is left completely helpless as a brutal gut punch knocks the absolute wind out of him. He flies like a ragdoll. Cha Sihyun yawns, calling for the next victim. Park demands a name. His vice spits it out. Knight Choi Jong. The desperate guildmaster immediately greenlights their ultimate secret weapon. Behold the Twilight Lance. The armored knight dramatically enters, wielding Tuji, an infamous anti-mage boomstick meant for absolute destruction. The guy has literally never lost to magic before, but hey, maybe our cocky rookie can still pull off a miracle. Our main character simply prays this guy is not all bark. Park smirks, betting heavily that this fight will finally humble our overpowered hero. Round 2 fight, Choi pops his buffs and furiously charges. Whoosh! Our hero effortlessly steps out of the way. What is the rush, man? Our hero playfully teases before manifesting glowing energy orbs and hurling them straight at the heavily armored knight. Boom! Thick blue smoke instantly swallows the entire battlefield. 0 damage. Choi bursts through the cloud like an angry bull. Cha Sihyun barely dodges backward. This tin can is not just buff, he is ridiculously fast. Time for aerial combat. Our guy takes to the skies, but Choi violently pole vaults after him. Clang. A massive strike hits our hero's magical shield. Crack. The unbreakable barrier shatters, sending him crashing face first into the dirt. Okay, color. Cha Sihyun genuinely impressed. It has been literal years since anyone actually floored him. The overpowered mage wipes the dust off. He hilariously mutters that using his bare fists would make this fight an absolute cakewalk. Props to the knight, he is incredibly tough. But playtime is officially over. Cha Sihyun is about to deliver a brutal reality check. Crushing pressure drops the knight to his knees, yet Park just sits there laughing like a smug villain who knows a dirty secret. Using his lance as a crutch, Choi insanely pushes back. Veins popping, this absolute unit actually starts walking through the crushing domain. The knight arrogantly barks that mere gravity tricks will never defeat him. He vows to flatten our hero, but Cha Sihyun just laughs out loud. Gravity. Who on earth ever said he was using gravity? Swish. Choi gets violently dragged across the dirt. Smash. His fancy armor completely explodes. Lee and the boss are left looking like gaping fish. Park's smug smile instantly vanishes. The hyped-up commentators are completely short-circuiting over this. That definitely was not gravity. The entire stadium is sweating desperately, wondering what kind of broken cheat skill this actually is. Cha Sihyun chuckles at the knight's stubborn durability. He casually drops the lore. It is actually the grand inversion of yin and yang. A pure polarity trick. He controls absolute attraction and repulsion using his monstrous mana pool. Pulling brings you closer, pushing throws you away. Super simple, right? He playfully plinks a loose rock off the knight's metal helmet. Choi aggressively growls that our hero messed up. Rising from the dust, the knight declares getting this close was a fatal error. Park slyly contacts Lee, finally revealing why Choi is the ultimate anti-mage juggernaut. It all comes down to his hidden skill. If our boy only relies on magic, he is totally cooked. A gloved hand furiously lunges. Park internally celebrates his flawless victory. Lee sweats bullets of pure panic. Suddenly, an ominous system prompt flashes right before our hero's eyes. Warning, magic sealed for 10 seconds. For the first time, our famously overpowered main character is caught completely off guard. Finish him with the counterspell, the vice screams. But Choi clicks his tongue, hating that he has to reveal this dirty trick live. He admits the boss is terrified of Cha Si-hyun's hidden depths. That fake gravity ability is simply too much of a monstrous threat. The direct order is cold-blooded murder. Our hero goes wide-eyed at the sudden kill shot but somehow wildly evades the strike. Choi loudly brags about his ultimate trump card, total magic cancellation. This is exactly why cocky mages always bite the dust. Dead silence grips the arena. Park gloats that our honest hero is too humble to show off. Poor Lee is practically ripping his hair out. Run away. The panicked Vice desperately pleads over comms, begging him to hide his martial arts, but telling our hero to run, big mistake. Choi aggressively winds up for the kill, cockily shouting that running is completely impossible now. Choi dares him to tank a strike capable of leveling a skyscraper. The metal menace violently launches forward, but our boy just smirks. Lou's hilarious. Who on earth is feeding this tin can all this absolute delusional nonsense? Boom! Cha Sihyun unleashes his monstrous ki. Both Lee and Park physically choke on the sheer spiritual pressure. The Aurora boss panics as his vice literally dry heaves. Park is absolutely paralyzed, overwhelmed by the majestic terror of true celestial cultivation martial arts. An earthquake of pure spiritual dread, Choi charges in blind, but the crushing aura slowly paralyzes him mid-air as he finally realizes he completely messed up. His brain blue screens. How is his skill still running? Boom, glowing energy chains lock him down. Sihyun smirks. Not magic, buddy. This is pure martial arts. Go ask Park for the wiki page. Our overpowered hero laughs, saying he almost burst into tears when told to flee. Hilarious, right? He actually praises Choi for finally witnessing his true aura. Behold the Mind Blade, an epic level 40 ultimate skill. This isn't steel, it is pure, unstoppable willpower manifested. At max level, a mere thought effortlessly shatters the very heavens and earth. But honestly, where is the fun in a one-shot instant kill? The restraints vanish. Time for Professor Sihyun's beatdown class. Bam. A catastrophic strike instantly deletes Choi from the chat. The armor-clad fool blasts into orbit. Our hero prays. Park is taking notes on this embarrassing spectacle. Witness true martial mastery. Choi transforms into a human missile, his skeleton instantly shattered by the sheer force of that legendary kick. Park's jaw drops. The knight faceplants miles away, knocked out totally cold. Stretching his muscles, our boy feels fantastic, unleashing his ancient arts. Naturally, the glorious victory belongs to Cha Sihyun. He casually dips from the remaining brawls, hilariously faking 0 mana. Still, Aurora brilliantly snatches the festival crown 3-2. The internet absolutely explodes over this monster rookie. Forums declare him a perfect match for the almighty Park. Consequently, the mighty Twilight plummets in rank, crowning Aurora as the undisputed number 1. Sweating bullets, the poor lackey frantically pages his boss. Total silence. Inside Park, stews in a completely trashed room, having absolutely demolished the furniture. The man's ego is totally shattered. Frozen in absolute terror, he swallowed the ultimate disgrace. That fleeting glimpse of godly aura confirmed his bitter defeat. Now, the desperate guildmaster violently embraces the dark side. No more playing nice. Emerging from his rage cave, he furiously summons his trembling subordinate. A desperate journey awaits. They must seek an audience with the legendary celestial war god. 7 days later, Aurora's PR team is drowning in phone calls, begging for Sihyun, a guy who doesn't even work there. One spicy rumor asks if Lee is dating the rookie. That gossip makes the young secretary blow a major gasket. Chaos erupts in the boardroom. Staffers scream in sheer frustration, logging an insane 328 calls and 800 fan letters, all aggressively demanding our boy Sihyun. Thirsty reporters, begging hunters, filthy rich sponsors, and broadcasting stations are all aggressively tracking our protagonist down. Following his strict orders, everything got ruthlessly trashed. Except one. Mid-rant, a desperate cry echoes from the hallway, loudly demanding the poor secretary's immediate help. His soul visibly leaves his body. Meanwhile, Lee smirks at our guy, enjoying the dazzling superstar life. Groaning at the headache, Sihyun shrugs. Send that poor secretary a fruit basket for tanking all this massive aggro. Blushing slightly, Lee finally spits out a late apology. Her frantic attempts to seal his martial arts were purely born from stubborn pride. Plus, she was honestly terrified for his personal safety. Sihyun chuckles at her lack of faith. Honestly, our overpowered king could not care less if Park witnessed his godly techniques. He bets the Twilight boss is currently sobbing over their massive power gap. He'll grant them a brief stay of execution. Even though his fiercely protective older brother instincts are loudly screaming for absolute immediate vengeance. A sly smile flashes across Lee's face. Pivoting quickly, she gleefully reports Twilight's spectacular and sudden downfall. Park is totally missing. Now every single neutral faction begs to join the Aurora hype. Thanks to our guy's hard carry, Aurora reigns absolutely supreme over Korea. The vice leader formally bows to the Limitless Guild's almighty master. Sihyun beams relieved his strict friend finally rebooted back to her usual sassy self. Sealing it with a handshake, he promises to keep leeching off her hospitality. Suddenly he checks his watch panic mode. His beloved sister must be panicking already. Before he bolts, Lee questions his weird choice to accept Jeju Island's alliance invite since he rejected everything else. His real reason, mainland dungeons are complete snooze fests, and his XP bar completely refuses to budge. Plus, it is the ultimate spot for awesome sibling bonding. Waving goodbye, he promises a quick 1-month round trip. Spoiler alert, if he knew the impending deadly chaos, he would have gladly burned those damn plane tickets. Touching down, Hanul is practically bouncing off the airport walls. The Jeju Island hype is incredibly real. It is her first big getaway. Seeing her bright smile instantly melts away all of our tough heroes' fatigue. Mid-itinerary planning, a loud voice shatters the peaceful vibe. Enter the flashy Tamna Guild. The cringeworthy welcome party leaves our guy totally speechless. Cue the crickets. Yeah, let's just pretend we didn't even see them. But the guy literally teleports into their personal space, aggressively snatching our main character's hand. Enter Kim Kun, the absolute grand boss of Team Tamna. Unsul's pride takes a critical hit. This literal kid outranks her. Worse, he shamelessly begs our hero for autographs. Meanwhile, our overpowered introvert just desperately misses his cozy bed. Kim finally notices Unsul, the glorious sister of his idol, but a panicked assistant furiously taps their watch. Fanboy time is over. They are running terribly late, so the epic lore drop must happen mid-sprint. Our main character absolutely hates being kidnapped, but Kim forcefully drags him along anyway. Amidst the tour promises a shady lurker spots them. The guy radios in Chinese confirming Sihyun has touched down. His boss snaps back, screaming to use Korean before blowing their cover. The spy angrily jumps up. Rest in peace vacation days. He rallies his goons, declaring a massive trap is officially set for our hero Jeju Island and Woljang. Suddenly, an obnoxiously cheerful dude blocks their path. Meet Kim Hun, the other guild boss. He flashes a bright smile, hyping up a super special welcome present. Unsul drools, expecting some legendary local feast. Hun swears this epic flavor will change their lives forever. The grand reveal, a single mildly fresh tangerine. The sheer disappointment is absolutely devastating. Murder flashes in Unsul's eyes, but her brother physically restrains her from committing a felony. The bosses sweat drop and apologize for skipping the red carpet, but they are in full panic mode. Kun drops the lore. They completely flipped off the standard tutorial system to build their own rogue faction. They wanted a peaceful life away from guild wars. But then level 11 nightmare dungeons spawned requiring level 40 juggernauts. The ultimate punchline, they literally have 0 people that strong. The massive guilds already poached everyone. Our hero is completely confused. Why not just let the dungeons break and blindly farm the escaped monsters? Kun furiously shakes his head. Skipping the raid means legally losing all their precious dungeon rights. The mega guilds would instantly crush their tiny faction. They shed blood, keeping outsiders off their sacred turf. Doom was knocking on their door, but right at absolute rock bottom, a golden savior magically emerged. They saw Sihyun's majestic face on television. A wildly overpowered, totally guild-free powerhouse fell straight from the heavens. Processing this tragic backstory, our hero just deadpans. These crazy dudes are completely out of their minds. The Kims bow in dramatic gratitude, but our pragmatic king ruins the mood. He is strictly here for massive experience points. He is completely ready to blindly charge into the dungeon, but Unsul violently slams the brakes. She claims they have a highly crucial mission first. He realizes she just desperately wants premium black pork and trout. Smash cut to the dungeon. A massive fireball explodes as the Tamna squad furiously fights for their actual lives. A warrior screams in absolute rage as his strikes hit nothing but air. Welcome to the cursed monkey zone. The demonic ape charges a scorching breath attack, but a heroic shield bearer violently leaps to the front line. The warrior desperately begs him to hold the line, but the toxic acid instantly melts his heavy shield. This foul poison literally eats through solid rock. The terrified squad is completely overwhelmed by the absurd difficulty. Defense is completely useless here. Their health bars are rapidly plummeting the longer this chaotic raid drags on. A total wipeout seems mathematically inevitable. Suddenly, a godly lightning bolt absolutely nukes the entire monkey horde. Sihyun lands flawlessly, casually roasting the monsters for their incredibly stupid names. The saved warrior sobs tears of sheer gratitude. Kim suddenly drops in, deeply praising our hero, while Unsul literally hauls the kid around like grocery bags. Sensing Unsul's murderous aura, the terrified young boss quickly throws some desperate praise her way to avoid getting punched. Mana restored, the fanboy finally steps up. He aggressively barks orders and his squad instantly locks in for battle. The duo blasts into the chaotic fray. Meanwhile, the leader fiercely fanboys over our hero's epic magical multiclassing. Sihyun squints, highly curious about the kid's level. Kim casually reveals he is just past level 40, effortlessly flexing on the older Unsul. His sidekicks are almost at that monstrous milestone too, directly fueled by absolutely insane daily grinding sessions. Soloing an entire island's worth of chaotic dungeons naturally skyrockets their absolutely crazy experience point gains. Our overpowered hero casually compliments the flashy move. Kim puffs his chest, bragging about his ultra-rare spatial blink ability. He claims it took agonizing years to master, but Sihyun merely shrugs. The fanboy's brain practically explodes, realizing his idol magically copied the skill. Meanwhile, our main character grins. Dumping stats into intuition was pure genius. Since his martial arts mastery carried him, he skipped basic stats. Instead, he dumped 53 entire points straight into intuition. With that massive stat boost decoding, the magical mechanics behind that ability was total child's play. Eager to flex his new trick, Sihyun steps up. He smirks, telling the group to watch closely, but try not to let their jaws hit the floor. Cue the crickets. Absolutely nothing happens. Awkwardly, he realizes Kim wasn't even using teleportation just then. Swallowing his pride, he asks the kid for a tutorial. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, the monkeys are peacefully chilling. Pop Kim suddenly appears, casually saying hello. The monkeys just blink in pure confusion. Then he cheerfully says, goodbye. The confused monkeys instantly teleport sky-high, plummeting to their doom. Sihyun watches, totally amazed by the trick. Kim explains his ruthless solo strategy. He just teleports massive monster groups straight up and lets gravity do the rest. His range is capped at 150 meters. But honestly, that is plenty of space to absolutely flatten most enemies. Plus, as long as he has line of sight to an empty spot, he can instantly move anything he touches. Kim humbly admits he only demonstrated it by request. But mid-sentence, poof, Sihyun completely vanishes right before his eyes. Our overpowered hero casually reappears. He smirks, explaining that one quick tutorial was all his genius brain needed to copy it. He still needs some practice though. For now, the hunting party decides to take a well-deserved snack break. Unseal fiercely scolds them for relaxing in a death zone. Kim politely agrees, but insists their hard work totally earned them some food. Stubborn as ever, the angry sister refuses. Unfazed, the young leader hands food to Sihyun. He praises our hero for mastering teleportation so insanely fast. Munching away, Sihyun humbly brags that a martial arts god like him learns anything instantly. Watching this smugness, Unseal violently resists punching him. She desperately warns Kim. Learning from her overpowered brother is useless since his crazy growth logic defies common sense, but Kim sighs deeply. Being the team leader makes him far too comfortable, and honestly, he feels totally stuck at a massive wall. Panic sets in. Kim furiously bows, apologizing for dumping his emotional baggage. Despite his guild's blind trust, he secretly feels like a complete and utter fraud. He fears growing totally useless. As he stammers another apology, Unseol ruthlessly snatches his snack right away. Shut up and eat, she commands. This delicious kimbap is no place for gloomy thoughts. Kim is instantly moved to tears. While those two share a wholesome moment, Sihyun deadpans, asking how long this hunt will take. These annoying monkeys are incredibly fast, super annoying, and Kim's teleportation definitely has a hard cap. That is why Kim wanted to aggressively lure them out. But Unseol angrily points out the massive risk of drawing the entire swarm. Grinning slyly, our overpowered hero proposes a crazy solution. Enter Sovereignty, a B rank passive that literally crushes groups with overwhelming aura and pure unfiltered willpower. He totally forgot grabbing it from the bird dungeon. Honestly, imposing his divine will on random mobs just never felt very impressive. But wait, by fusing this mental pressure with his mind sword art, he can actually force basic commands straight into monster brains. He honestly forgot this skill existed. Mind-controlling weaklings just wasn't his style of epic combat. But combining these twin powers right now, oh, this is going to be incredibly useful. Boom, telepathic domination activates. Invisible hands of pure mental energy sweep through the dense forest, locking straight onto those annoying monkeys. The system command flashes, his overwhelming aura fully awakens. Sweating nervously, the duo watches him. Sihyun just casually checks if Kim has enough mana for one last emergency escape route. Kim nods. Our hero smirks dangerously. That is perfect because he definitely just kicked a massive deadly hornet's nest. Boom, tremors rock the ground. Earthquakes are impossible inside dungeons, meaning only one utterly terrifying thing is approaching. A monster stampede. A single monkey dramatically drops in. The shield bearer instantly sighs in massive relief. He thought a horde was attacking, but looking up, dozens of vicious glowing red eyes stare right back from the canopy. The squad freezes in sheer terror, totally surrounded, smirking. Sihyun orders Kim to evacuate everyone immediately. It is solo time. Recognizing that cocky hand signal, Kim nervously gulps and immediately agrees. Unseol completely snaps. Leaving her idiot brother against a massive monster army is madness. The savage monkeys prepare their deadly ambush. Panicking, Kim screams for Unseol to grab hold. Left with zero options, he triggers his flashy teleportation skill. Kicking and screaming, she vanishes. The team safely escapes, leaving our overpowered hero totally alone. Time to absolutely unleash hell. Sihyun drops the limiter. A catastrophic blast of aura expands, obliterating absolutely everything in sight. Watching from a safe distance, Kim's jaw hits the floor. The squad is totally paralyzed. Is he even human? It totally proves the crazy rumors. Our overpowered hero must be past level 60. Kim frantically asks the sister if Sihyun triggered this monster wave, but she is trembling too hard. Assuming she is terrified of losing her only brother, Kim awkwardly steps in to play the comforting sunbae. He praises her brother's godly stats, promising he will return completely unharmed. He begs her to just trust his crazy strength. Cha Se-yeon stares at him blankly. Plot twist, she is not worried at all. She is absolutely fuming because her brother is hogging all the sweet XP. Sharing was the deal. Worrying is just completely ridiculous. Meanwhile, completely oblivious to her rage, Cha Se-hyun is literally in gamer heaven. Even our overpowered main character underestimated the ridiculous range of his new aggro skill. By chaining his abilities perfectly, he created an ultimate monster magnet, zero effort farming at its finest, and it is working flawlessly again. Sihyun just camps the spawn point spamming massive aura nukes. Meanwhile, miles away, Vice Guild leader Lee suddenly gets a nasty chill. Her secretary nervously checks on her. She shivers, swearing she just heard a villainous cackle. Brushing it off, he checks the intel. Twilight Guild's notorious leader Park is still completely locked away in his dark mansion. His elite hunters are also acting suspiciously quiet right now. On the bright side, Aurora Guild completely hijacked their contested dungeons with zero effort. Twilight will not be a headache anytime soon. Yet Lee is totally sweating. Why is Park acting like a ghost after getting utterly roasted on live broadcast? She is convinced he is cooking up ultimate revenge, but her secretary drops a way bigger bombshell on her desk. Lee gasps in pure horror. A devastating high-risk raid gate just violently ripped open across Tybeck Mountain. It is a terrifying level 13 zone. Only level 60 badasses can even survive this scorching desert hellscape. It is undeniably the most brutal raid ever. Inside this endless blazing wasteland, the scouts were blindly ambushed by an absolute behemoth. Now, titanic skyscraper-sized bugs are marching straight out of the dunes to absolutely flatten the city. Their numbers are extremely low, but every single monstrous pest demands a top-tier awakener just to scratch its armor. The absolute top guildmaster officially confirmed this terrifying nightmare. Lee groans, realizing she, the director, and the boss must actually party up for this disaster. Her brain is completely short-circuiting. She desperately wishes our overpowered hero was here. Her daydreaming gets rudely interrupted by her secretary waving a clipboard frantically. Panicking over his boss having a mental breakdown, he gently suggests she just clock out and go sleep. Startled, she absolutely obliterates her teacup, sending porcelain flying. The loyal secretary immediately scrambles to mop the floor. Am I losing my mind? She wonders. More importantly, when is Cha Se-hyun coming back? It has been 15 grueling days since the Jeju raid. A brutal sneak attack bursts from the smoke, completely catching the poor warrior totally off guard. The monster goes for the kill, but a blinding flash of overpowered magic instantly deletes it. Our main character is totally exploiting his aggro cheat skill while the squad takes turns grinding. Meanwhile, Choi bickers with Kim for babying her. The cruel awakening system has rules. It literally hoards all the sweet XP for whoever deals the highest damage. Our godly hero genuinely tried chilling on the sidelines, but watching his useless tank run away crying makes that impossible. With an exhausted sigh, he steps in. A quick blink skill, Cha Se-hyun yanks the trembling meat shield away from absolute death. The pathetic rookie cries rivers of pure gratitude. Our deadpan protagonist seriously wonders if there is a secret system quest to buff bravery. Kim hilariously uses this dramatic rescue to totally dodge his ongoing lecture. Plus, acquiring a mythical teleportation skill broke the team's brain, but hilariously, Sihyun is actually annoyed. It completely ruined his planned build. His sister completely lights up. Jeju Island's real treasure is not boring fish or sweet tangerines. This place is literally an ultimate grinding paradise. Even though she only hit level 38, Kim totally agrees. The XP farming here is incredibly broken. Sihyun secretly feared his sister would totally hate this endless, sweaty mob grinding. Turns out monstrous gates make fantastic tourist traps. The squad's junior suddenly announces a crazy new raid request from the Samato Guild. The target, disgusting wolf-headed nightmare bats. Instantly, our invincible protagonist actually starts sweating bullets. Yina asks about the map layout. It is a pitch-black cave. Unnoticed by the crew, the mighty hero's soul practically leaves his body. Kim happily reveals the catch. The client guild is begging for only the legendary Cha Se-hyun to solo carry this nightmare. Pitch-black darkness makes archery and teleportation totally useless here. Hearing this ridiculous excuse, Cha Se-hyun's eye twitches in sheer annoyance at being utterly underestimated. Suspicious, absolutely. But our hero casually rolls with it since both guys are running on absolute fumes. He swears to speedrun this entire quest, yet the mere thought of a damp cave violently drags up his traumatic memories. Enter Jong-ho. He proudly introduces himself as the Sambado Guild Master, stepping up to be the official dungeon guide. Assuming our overpowered hunter already memorized the briefing, the guildmaster hastily marches him toward the menacing cavern. Deep inside the dense woods, an eerie green portal pulses. Our stoic protagonist steps right up to the swirling vortex. Facing another underground nightmare makes his skin crawl. This creeping anxiety hits way harder than he ever anticipated. Whatever hides inside, he must obliterate it. screeching bat wolves get violently fried by brutal lightning strikes. Utterly dumbfounded by his insane clear speed, a sweaty guild member desperately asks what they are supposed to do. Area cleared, Sihyun states flatly. Jongho's jaw drops, utterly blown away by the legendary hunter's insanely overpowered combat prowess. Jongho nervously points down the trail toward the terrifying unmapped zone. Hearing this, our main character aggressively turbocharges their advance. The guildmaster hesitantly asks if Sihyun is alright getting only icy silence. Truthfully, something is seriously wrong right now. His traumatic past is literally screaming in his mind. Sensing this heavy aura, a panicking Jongho nervously suggests taking a quick breather. Instantly, the guildmaster fiercely regrets speaking up. I am perfectly fine, Sihyun growls, radiating a deadly aura that strictly forbids any further questioning. Jongho frantically offers a juice pouch in surrender. Meanwhile, our hero's mind races. He must escape before his raging aura accidentally obliterates everyone here. Jongho flexes his map, claiming the complex path ahead is fully explored. Yet his overly nervous sweating raises massive, blazing red flags. Or is Sihyun just totally paranoid? Trying to lighten the deathly mood, Jongho nervously jokes that Seoguram Grotto beats this disgusting cavern. He cheerfully promises a VIP tour someday. Obviously, our stoic hunter instantly and coldly rejects it. Sihyun just impatiently demands the exact ETA to the boss room. Suddenly, his hyper-lethal survival instincts violently flare up. A sinister magic circle blazes across the cavern roof. The protagonist instantly identifies the glowing runes, an annoying, illusory maze trap. It is not instantly lethal, thankfully. However, one wrong step inside perfectly shatters a hunter's sense of direction. The useless background characters are already stumbling around blindly, but zooming in the magical flow is subtly dragging the squad toward a specific destination. Red flag, this trap is undeniably man-made, but what kind of absolute lunatic planted it here? Whatever twisted scheme this is, Sihyun refuses to deal with agonizing otherworld dungeon nonsense while stuck inside a suffocating cave. Inhaling deeply to suppress his blazing aura, he boldly steps into the magical snare. Our fearless hero is determined to ruthlessly hunt down the mastermind. Meanwhile, inside a scorching desert dungeon, massive sand beasts unleash pure chaos. Suddenly, a rugged commander barks a thunderous order. The squad leader casts a brilliant support buff. Instantly, the terrifying beast cowardly burrows beneath the shifting sand. A naive rookie cheers, thinking the monster fled. Wrong. Another colossal beast bursts forth, charging up an absolutely devastating ultimate attack. The guildmaster fiercely orders everyone into battle formation. He plans to exploit this exact opening to trap the monsters entirely. The captain heroically restrains the colossal sandworm with pure brute strength. Roaring the attack signal, he gives his deadly vice-captain the absolute perfect opening. Twin blades flash in a gorgeous symphony of destruction, instantly executing the beast. Together, Lee's fierce squad totally conquers the brutal battlefield. Thrilled by the flawless victory, the captain laughs, declaring that as an unstoppable duo, clearing this hellish dungeon will be an absolute cakewalk. She instantly drops a massive reality check. Slaying merely 3 elite monsters has already completely drained their entire party's stamina. The cheeky captain teases her loudly, joking she secretly wishes she was hanging out with Cha Si-hyun instead, thanks to those juicy dating rumors. He instantly regrets mocking her love life. She violently jabs his ribs viciously, ordering the idiot captain to shut his trap. Dodging the topic, Lee asks where their missing members are. Having the full raid party would have made this nightmare significantly easier. The leader casually explains those two had a super critical appointment. Cut to 2 mysterious men, suspiciously lurking outside the Jigu dungeon portal. Both claimed an ultra-important secret mission. Meanwhile, the oblivious dungeon guards passionately geek out over Cha Si-hyun's legendary combat highlights from the Solar Festival. Suddenly, the strict secretary appears fiercely scolding both slackers for not taking their guard duty seriously. Complaining about having absolutely zero action, the lazy guards shamelessly justify kicking back and munching on cheap snacks. The icy secretary snaps back. Just because the Twilight Guild is quietly hiding out does not mean they can slack off. A deadly guild war could literally erupt any time. Suddenly, massive mana violently erupts from the dark forest. A blazing magical sphere crashes down, detonating in a totally spectacular explosion. The secretary instantly recognizes a lethal fire arrow technique. This is deeply terrifying because this top-secret dungeon was supposed to remain completely hidden. A menacing silhouette emerges. A Twilight assassin. No, that terrifying aura belongs to Director Yoon, specially summoned from the Aurora Guild. A shadow ambush by a rival guild. The poor secretary practically sweats bullets hearing this disaster. He considers diving into the gate to warn his bosses. Wait a minute. Something totally smells fishy here. How could the director know their exact location? The guy supposedly went rogue on a completely different errand. Sadly, the clock ran out. Yoon casually claims his dirty work is basically done. Mission accomplished, the rat grabs his cell. He confirms Director Kwon is gatecrashing this ambush party too. He chuckles glad Twilight already set the perfect stage. Over the line, Park smugly offers his villainous thanks. Arriving on-site cronies bow like he is royalty. Park grins like a maniac at the absolute carnage they unleashed. He pats the groveling directors. He smirks at Lee's innocence. She actually believed her precious guild was traitor-free. Plot twist, these snakes were bribed way back during the Solar Festival. Stepping over corpses like mere pebbles, Park reminisces. Wow, 7 whole years since they last raided a dungeon together. He was a total rookie then. Flashback to her old squad cheerfully yelling her name. She looked disgustingly happy. Park violently bursts her bubble. To him, those extra weights are just dragging their ultimate potential into the mud. Has she suffered amnesia about their destiny? They need to grind levels and achieve god-tier strength immediately. He hypes up the celestial war god's jade. Supposedly, this shiny rock is a massive cheat code for martial arts. Becoming loyal cultists would skyrocket their stats, but she ruthlessly shuts his fanatic rant down. Earth is not Murim, bro. Without crazy assassins breathing down their necks, obsessed power scaling is absolutely pointless here. Chilling with her pals is enough. They should totally erase that horrific isekai nightmare from their memory cards. Her buddies holler and she ditches him. Betrayal. He assumed shared trauma meant she would completely vibe with his edgelord ideals. Thanks to these annoying NPCs, he forever felt like a tragic background extra. Mid-battle, Park effortlessly butter slices a pathetic mob. Suddenly, Lee's terrified scream pierces his eardrums. A useless teammate actually got clapped by a low-level trash mob. Another guy begs Park to evacuate the wounded girl. He desperately yells for an emergency retreat. The scrub keeps yapping, but Park treats him like absolute invisible garbage. Baffled by the AFK player, he continues whining for a heroic rescue. Park is completely zoned out. She ignores his bloody hustle. She genuinely erased the sheer agony of the Murim realm. And she remains totally soft. The culprit, these pathetic parasites, time to exterminate every single bug holding her back. This twisted therapy is the only cure. He will generously liberate her, starting by wiping out her useless friend group. Back to reality, Park glares blankly at the gate. His lackeys nervously sweat, wondering why the boss is spacing out. Suddenly, the vice boss struts in. He barks orders to defend the gate and ruthlessly slaughter any Aurora Guild members. Park smirks, sensing Sihyun's aura. The chaotic island operation is running flawlessly. The vice brags that Galen made his move. Absolutely nobody survives their foolproof death traps. He flexes an incoming status report, but Park instantly mutes him. Park only cares about one bloody detail today. Inside the dungeon, he gets the kill shot on Lee. The leader flinches hard, but quickly glues his confident poker face back on. He agrees, honoring their dark pact. Honestly, fighting her alone is suicide anyway. Park finally declares game on. Elite hunters hunting the mighty Aurora. Meanwhile, our main character is hopelessly lost in a maze. Following the bait led straight to a dead end, his 2 shady escorts frantically whisper about this completely botched setup. His super hearing catches their panicked gossip. Sihyun coldly demands answers instantly. Naturally, the scrub plays dumb. Patience depleted, our hero brutally grabs the guy's face. The nice guy act is officially cancelled. Start spilling secrets now, or you are never leaving this dark cave alive. Suddenly, a crony spots a bizarre anomaly. Even our overpowered hero freezes in absolute disbelief. A cheeky phantom voice echoes, joking about bad timing and his crazy speed. The panicking minion screams the trap is primed. The creepy voice gives a twisted villain greeting. Wait, the voice is literally coming from a massive wall bomb. For once, our hero is completely stunned. Boom, the fiery explosion instantly engulfs everything. Elsewhere, warning sirens ring in Lee's head. She stubbornly brushes off the bad vibes to hyper-focus on her raid. 4 ugly beasts lock onto her radar. Suddenly, a terrifying noise shatters the dungeon's silence. A massive blast obliterates their rest zone. The Aurora leader clashes steel while her agile mage barely evades the fiery doom. The rough fighter snatches the opening. He swings at the defenseless leader, but the boss flexes every last muscle for a desperate bone-crushing counterattack. Swoosh, the fighter smoothly dodges. Honestly, the boss is having the absolute worst day ever. Fighting John was already a nightmare. Now it's a 2-on-1 beatdown while Park enjoys the VIP front row seat. The Aurora boss is completely clueless. Park literally gives this tragic comedy a standing ovation. He mockingly apologizes for underestimating John. The Aurora leader groans, never expecting this pathetic family reunion with his ultimate rival. John demands answers. How did they sneak in, and where are the poor portal guards who skipped leg day? Park bursts out laughing. Seriously, the answer is slapping them right in the face. Dungeon secrets don't just walk away. John realizes his guild is packed with dirty traitors, promising to chop them into bite-sized sashimi. The mage smirks at his prey's stubbornness. But out of nowhere, things go from bad to absolute disaster. A squadmate gets brutally wrecked. The kid begs his boss for a lifeline while John is forced to listen to this heartbreaking cry for help. The knight steps up for the finishing blow. The helpless leader simply screams his lungs out in total raging frustration. Park playfully wipes a fake tear. So tragic, he snickers, calling those weaklings nothing more than heavy, useless little bugs. Lee swoops in to squash the bug, but Jen pulls off a slick last-second dodge. Lee smirks at the kid's return. Park jokes that his grumpy old friend missed him even if she looks ready to bite. Lee rolls her eyes at his garbage talk. She loudly vows to permanently shut his annoying trap right now. Park lazily tags his vice captain in. Flash sparks fly as their blades violently clash in a high-speed blinding symphony of destruction. Boom, they trade heavy blows and slide back. Ouch, Lee just scored a flashy new scratch right on her cheek. Ignoring the scratch, she ruthlessly counterattacks. The boy furiously digs his heels into the dirt, letting his blazing anger stop his skid. Bam! She is instantly in his face, roasting him for being a clueless brat who cannot even hold a butter knife properly. He awkwardly juggles his blades for a wild swing, missing completely. She scoffs, calling out his totally reckless rookie moves. Still, this hothead packs a punch. Lee stays cautiously alert, keeping one hawk-like eye totally locked on her struggling squad. The boss is completely swarmed, but swinging like a madman. Lee bets he can survive this mess a bit longer. The real headache, that sketchy big boss. He is literally waving at her like a massive creep, clearly plotting some absolute villain garbage. Park chuckles, totally shocked that his old buddy leveled up this ridiculously fast. He figures the island drama is basically over. Twilight's boss genuinely hopes Sihyun is already resting in peace as expensive plant fertilizer. Boom, blinding light erupts under the rubble. The main character rises from the dust, absolutely itching to serve up some piping hot karma. The sidekicks miraculously survive the blast. Of course, they are totally clueless about what in the world just blew up. They spot Sihyun looking incredibly annoyed. Being stuck underground is bad enough, but forcing him to use actual brainpower, unforgivable. Blame the stupid bomb. A nervous dude tries playing peacekeeper, sweating as he asks if our hero is hurt. He acts completely clueless about the trap. Spoiler alert, playing dumb with an angry main character is a fatally terrible idea. Whoosh, the guy levitates then slams down hard. Our hero skips the pleasantries, demanding the juicy truth about this absurd little setup immediately. This was blatantly a painfully obvious pre-planned trap. They really need to stop treating Sihyun like some gullible low-level newbie fool. Pure absolute terror slowly shatters the guy's act until he is literally ugly crying. He bawls about being collateral damage in the explosion. Zero patience left. Our hero violently cranks up his mind control powers. Human testing time. It is his first try on a person. If this dude's brain turns to mush, oops, not his problem. An ominous dark shadow completely swallows the poor guy's head. Plot twist, Twilight was their wealthy sugar daddy paying them to dominate the island. Then an unbelievably arrogant jerk waltzed into their base one day. This flashy snob claimed to be Park's little brother. The only hard fact, this mystery boss was actually an elite Chinese hunter. But this powerhouse was no joke. These clueless pawns were just blindly following Gao's bossy orders. Their only job, lure Sihyun to the trap. Since dungeon Wi-Fi is non-existent, our hero realizes this mastermind is hiding inside the very same cave. The main character senses nothing. Did that slippery coward already ditch them? What a colossal headache. Annoyed, our hero casually tells a henchman to move unless he wants to get blasted into next Tuesday. He shoos the kid away. Boom, a terrifying energy beam erupts from his palm, totally vaporizing the massive rock pile into dust. A hidden tunnel opens. The pathetic scrubs practically cry happy tears, dreaming of going home for a hot shower. But Sihyun hates loose ends. Smiling like a total menace, he makes the entire cave glow with his blinding, overpowering aura. The massive boulders seal the entrance shut. They scream for their miserable lives. Sihyun walks away cold as ice. Survival of the fittest. With Twila exposed as the mastermind, he can finally unleash absolute hell. Meanwhile, deep in the scorching desert, Lee faces a deadly crisis. Her enemy spams shadow clones, completely cornering her. Jang mocks her bleeding lip. Before activating his ultimate move, the legendary Shadow Dance. His first tactic, a cheap misdirection. He thinks he has the upper hand, but Lee just laughs at his garbage trash talk. Using her true power on a weakling like him, pure waste. He isn't even worth her sweat. Blinded by absolute fury, he lunges forward. Lee smirks. Time to teach this kid a brutal lesson. She will demonstrate true street-level carnage. The wasteland goes dead silent, until crimson flashes tear through the wind. He hunts her relentlessly, but her speed is godly. She gracefully vaults over his pathetic fakes. Jang glares, locking onto her every move. The phantom strike obliterating the terrain. Her momentum shatters, and suddenly, an inescapable ambush. She chuckles, mocking him as Park's annoying little lapdog. Then, a blinding flash pierces the shadows. Jang blinks and she has already sliced through everyone. But wait, a sudden shift in the air. She pivots, spotting his lethal approach. He unleashes his hidden trump card, a venomous death blow, a genuinely nasty surprise. She desperately leaps back, but mere contact with that vile toxin melts her steel blade. She touches down breathless. Reality check. One single mistake means absolute death. Calmly, Lee discards her ruined weapons. She smirks, noting he abandoned his beloved twin dagger style. Jang sneers. She is exactly the reason why. She was the master who revealed the ultimate assassin's secret. Sweating internally, she hunts for his true physical body. Feigning complete arrogance, she yawns. She remembers absolutely nothing about him. That blatant disrespect cuts deep. Roaring, he vows to jog her memory. By dragging her true power into the light, she groans at his cringe-worthy villain monologue, reaffirming that he remains far too pathetic to witness her ultimate art. Honestly, she is just hoarding stamina to butcher Park. Jang's fragile ego shatters. A cowardly illusion ambushes her blind spot. Nostalgia hits her. He used to be Park's little sobbing disciple, a pathetic mimic, swinging fake blades. Trembling in absolute horror, he was the sole survivor of her bloody massacre that fateful day. His entire existence is a massive headache. In a flash, her edge kisses his throat, revealing the brutal truth of true strength. Striking with pure, unadulterated passion, but right on cue. Enemy backup floods the battlefield. Exhausted by this circus, she prepares to vanish, tossing back one final savage crumb of wisdom. He lacks the killer instinct. He should just retire already. She waves goodbye, branding him a pathetic low-budget copycat. Swallowing that bitter humiliation, he burned his past, starting from absolute zero, forging a new path just to crush her. His pure admiration twisted into toxic hatred, but ironically, her cruel words were perfectly right. That psychotic obsession crowned him an apex predator. Suddenly, the very fabric of space distorts. Jang's eyes widen in sheer primal panic. Lee materializes from the void, mocking his predictable obedience. He really should have chosen a peaceful retirement. He was fighting a mere phantom this whole time. Her voice echoes, delivering the ultimate lethal lesson. Only bare your fangs when it guarantees a killing blow, he shrieks, Lee Jihei's name as darkness takes him. A miserable demise for a tragic knockoff, a total fool's death. As the dust settles, a sinister clap breaks the silence. Praising the dead pawn's pathetic effort, Lee grins like a demon, thrilled the big boss finally spawned. The ultimate scumbag on her hit list, Park smirks, asking if she enjoyed his little welcome party. She vows to give him the most agonizing death imaginable. Park just laughs like a maniac, unsheathing his blade, hungry for the slaughter. A terrifying typhoon of murderous aura erupts. Lee unleashes the true legendary shadow dance. Meanwhile, a desperate call goes straight to voicemail. The main character is too late to send the warning. A mocking voice echoes out. She is totally unreachable. Suddenly, elite hunters swarm our hero from every angle. The unseen foe sneers. She is trapped in a dungeon where no signal can ever penetrate. The scheming bastard smiles widely, taunting Cha about this cave's uncanny resemblance to the ancient Murim. Quite nostalgic, right? Cha Sihyun glares. How does he know her exact location? The smug bastard demands a polite request first. That arrogant provocation seals the deal. Cha instantly realizes this trash is purely hostile. Whatever, a good beating always forces the truth out. Feeling Cha's monstrous aura, the enemy shivers with thrill. Heavy martial resonance violently shakes the atmosphere, but the enemy smirks. A colossal magic circle ignites beneath them. Our overpowered main character spots the trap instantly, but wait, this is not standard Murim martial arts. It is heavily merged with cheap sorcery. Boom, the celestial golden seal formation goes live. Instantly, the bloodthirsty hunters rush him from all sides. Cha Sihyun could not care less about flashy magic tricks, but something feels totally off. Our hero seems weirdly suppressed. The first attacker violently swings for the kill. Suddenly, Sihyun feels his muscles turning to absolute lead. He throws a heavy punch, but the random grunt actually blocks it with a blade. Okay, red alert. His overpowered internal ki is completely blocked. Seeing the opening, two shadowy assassins instantly dive in. Sihyun throws up a defensive aura shield, but a single strike shatters it like cheap glass. Wait, these guys feel weirdly familiar. Are they all returnees from the Murim world? Gao cackles like a comic villain at our hero's pure confusion. This trap drains the target's precious ki, spoon-feeding that stolen energy straight to Gao's minions. It does not matter how overpowered you are, since your own godly strength actively buffs Gao's thugs, your massive power literally becomes your ultimate fatal weakness. Honestly, our main character is super annoyed by this villain's endless monologuing. Sihyun sighs and tells them to just attack already. Time to teach these clowns a brutal lesson. They will permanently remember the legendary Sword Emperor. For context, a trap formation is basically a pocket dimension. It safely stores volatile natural elements or overpowered mystical spell items. Once a legendary tactician used this exact cheat code to summon apocalyptic lightning storms and fry his enemies. Gao totally worshipped that guy. Back in Murim, he exclusively nerded out on trap formations. Now by activating this move, he genuinely believes he is an untouchable god. Well, that was his delusional plan. but the enemy's deadly sword glitches straight through our hero's body. Blink and he teleported away. Sihyun has already cracked the code. The entire magic seal is fueled by basic metal energy. 2 more goons leap in but completely whiff thin air. Our hero casually tells them to chill out. This boss fight is basically over. Gao panics. His target casually used pressure points to paralyze his thugs. But wait, cheating like that should be completely impossible inside this seal. Our nonchalant protagonist decides to clear up a little mystery. He asks if they are demonic cult fanboys, but these clueless pawns look totally dumbfounded. Makes sense, since they are clearly not from Murim. Reason 1, their swordsmanship is utterly embarrassing. Reason 2, 0 celestial cultivation ki flows through their pathetic veins. Gao grinds his teeth at our hero's smugness but confesses. His minions never visited the other world. They are just artificially grown cheap martial artists. Sihyun smirks. A grandmaster like him could fake that, but a scrub like Gao, no way. It has to be some dirty dark magic. Only dark magic works here. But honestly, Sihyun does not care if it is cult sorcery or martial arts. Because, spoiler alert, absolutely none of it works on him. Gao brags about kidnapping random street beggars for his twisted experiment. He claims it created top-tier minions. Yep, you guessed it. This absolute psycho literally used human sacrifices to power up his magic circle. Sihyun gives a dark, satisfied grin. That is exactly the kind of trashy behavior he expected from the demonic cult scum. That terrifying smile seriously rattles Gao. Why? Because our main character genuinely loves pummeling trash like him into the dirt. But enough story time. The real hunt begins now. Sweating bullets, Gao swears he will obliterate Sihyun. Immediately, his creepy zombie minions start twitching back to life. Now they glow with stolen ki. Our hero chuckles, mocking them for acting so tough while basically running on his stolen battery juice. Then Sihyun steps forward. The circle aggressively flashes blue. Gao's jaw drops, completely clueless about what is happening. His goons screech in agony, literally burning alive. They beg for mercy while Sihyun coldly watches. Basic science check. Fire easily melts metal. Our hero explains that since the trap relied on metal, he simply added a little spicy fire modification. Gao is mind blown. How could he know that? Sihyun shrugs, claiming he just skimmed some formation books as a fun little hobby back in Murim. Gao's brain absolutely short circuits. He literally sacrificed his entire life to master this art. But for our hero, just some light weekend reading. The sheer talent gap completely shatters Gao's fragile ego. Guess geniuses just study better, right? But playtime is over. This is the absolute end. The hijack trap violently sucks away Gao's vital life force. Considering he murdered innocent people for power, karma is hitting back beautifully. Before delivering the final blow, Sihyun demands answers. He needs to know what happened to Lee Ji-hae. A horrific image of her lifeless body flashes mentally. Park considered himself a lonely soul. That was until she unexpectedly crashed into his world. When death knocked, she stubbornly refused to run away. Even when dark Murim trauma gave him endless nightmares, she warmly stayed by his side. She made him feel genuinely cherished. But honestly, their tragic fates never should have crossed. Park yells at her to stand. Dying here would be totally pathetic. With her final strength, she staggers up. Her wrecked body trembles, but her blazing eyes prove her warrior spirit still roars. She lunges for another strike. Park deploys his shield technique. Boom, they violently collide, triggering a massive shockwave of pure reflection power. The blast sends Lee flying, but she smoothly sticks the landing. Park realizes her stamina is empty. Even her shadow dance deactivated. Lee gasps. Since when was Park this strong? Honestly, it is just because she is completely exhausted from fighting so hard. The vice leader declares she has one last question. With a downright arrogant smirk, he casually agrees to indulge her. Lee only needs to know one simple truth. Why did he brutally betray and slaughter her precious comrades? Park sighs at this completely exhausting topic. Lee trembles with pure, unadulterated fury, screaming for the truth he constantly avoids. Smirking darkly, Park delivers his chilling answer. They were simply pathetic and crushing. Weaklings is just his completely natural instinct. Lee realizes she was a total fool to expect a human conversation. Hot tears blazing, she readies her final deadly strike. She bursts forward like a roaring thunderbolt. In a breathless instant, their deadly blades crash together in an epic clash. A monstrous shockwave absolutely rips through the air. Meanwhile, our anxious hero Shia frantically checks his smartphone in another location. A system notification pops up. The terrifying intel reveals that Park is a devoted follower of the celestial god of war. Unfortunately, the target's sanity completely shattered, and the tracking pin drops exactly 450 meters away. He suddenly remembers his teleportation skill. He hatches a wild plan. Our hero could warp there in exactly 20 minutes, but why is he even sweating over this? Lee is strictly a business partner, absolutely nothing more. In the brutal Murim world, this deadly drama happens every single day. But suddenly, Shia recalls Lee awkwardly asking him on a sweet date. Flashbacks of their chaotic, heart-fluttering moments absolutely flood his mind. They are surprisingly beautiful memories of just the two of them. Our totally badass hero actually starts chuckling like a complete idiot. He seriously questions his own sanity. This ruthless protagonist swore he only gave a damn about himself and his little sister. He completely failed to realize that another person had crashed into his life. Shia bolts toward her, praying she survives until his epic arrival.